saw your name was something else just now. Why'd you change it? I like the previous one. It reminds me of like the good rap song. I don't know if you know it, the Big Stepper one. But I would like to do a game before we start. Okay. Now on the next slide, you will see that you are instructed to go and find an item in your room. Okay, you have 1 minute, and you have to find something that represents who you are. So it's just to warm us up for this session today. And I would love to see what you guys bring to the table. So go search for 1 minute. Go search around. I'll entertain myself while you guys do that, I guess. Maybe I should find something by myself. Give me a moment. Where's my rock? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Douglas. Do you have like a specific rock you have in mind? Ryan, have you already got your thing? He's gonna go search right now. Alright, let's see what we got. Sven, what'd you bring? What that? Is that a camera? Wait. Alright, why'd you choose that item? Like to appreciate the moment and stuff. That's a really cool hobby. Thanks, Sven. Alright, let's move on to Big Stepper over here. What'd you bring, Gordon? A controller? Wait, am I even looking at it right? A controller? Is that an Xbox or a PS5? Alright, tell me why you chose that. Oh, I thought you were gonna say like to play with people's feelings or something. No? Oh, it's okay. I'm more resilient than you think. I think it's reverse psychology. You don't know it when I'm playing you as well. All right. No, wait. I don't know. Ryan just like came out of the blue. All right. Thanks for that, Big Stepper. Let's move on to his fellow Utah member, Chris. Did you manage to bring anything? It's huge. Whoa.
It's
How big
huge.
are you?
What is that?
It's my guitar.
Whoa. Oh, yo, Chris is a ladies' man. He's been training. I can tell. Is it electric guitar or acoustic?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's an electric guitar. Damn. Yo, I did not know Chris had that in his bag.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yo, guys, we better be careful, right? He might steal your girl. All right.
Hey.
But I heard there's like something where electric guitar players attract guys instead or something like that. Don't call me though. Thanks, Chris. All right, moving on. Shanice, let's see it. Hopefully it's not a tomato. What was it?
I bought my phone.
You bought your phone?
Yeah.
How original of you.
Thank you.
Nah, why'd you bring your phone?
Because one, I use it a lot. Number two,
Oh, really?
my wallpaper actually I customized it myself. So there's like
Oh.
pictures of my friends, my family, all my interests and all that. So I say it represents me quite well.
So legit, like it's your creation, so it represents you the most.
Yeah, not the phone though, just wallpaper.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, who else can we go through? Sean, did you bring anything? What that? Is that a bottle?
Bottle. Yes, I have my bottle with me.
You brought your bottle? Why'd you bring your bottle?
So you see this bottle, it represents like a human being. Sometimes it's full of life, water, life. But sometimes it's empty. So
Oh.
be sure to take a lot of rest.
I see. Yo, that's deep. Yeah, Gordon, that's deep, bro. He's like talking about literally and like figuratively. Because literally human beings are made of 70% of water. So shout out to that. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate that one. The Friska, did you bring anything?
Yes.
What'd you bring? Let's see it.
I have my lipstick collection. Oh shit.
Whoa. Yo, that's like an arsenal. That's
It's
like,
not even 1/3 of my collection, so
oh my goodness.
yeah, I have tons of lipsticks.
That's like for guys like a Pokemon collection or something. Why'd you bring that?
Uh, I don't know, man. I cannot go out without makeup.
Right. I see, I see. It's a lot of what you do and what you find value in and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
I see. Thank you for that. All right, lastly, let's go to the yap, the little yapster. What you got, Justin? Don't disappoint, yeah?
Food.
Oh my, yo, you gotta be specific. What kind of food is that?
Oh, this is a pineapple. You know why?
So you're a
Because
pineapple.
no, yeah, you know why pineapple? Because pineapples, they have crowns on their heads and they're sweet. So you could say I'm a sweet king.
You're a sweet. I don't know about that, guys. I don't know about that. All right. Who? I mean, lastly, let's go. Net. What'd you bring? What's that? Is that a sock? You just bring a sock?
Yeah, a sock.
Wow, I'm surprised I can guess all these things correctly. Why'd you bring a sock and only one side of a sock, may I add?
One because people don't want me, but they need me,
Oh, wait.
and I will be quite annoying if you lose part of me.
Oh, you're right. You're right, Nat. We do not want to lose you. Right? We do not want to lose you. Damn, that's interesting. I like all the meaning you guys brought behind it. Thank you for that. Now, I'm gonna move on to the main segment for today. So, I'm gonna show you a little something. It's something that was recently posted on SOLIDD Online's Instagram. If you guys haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Let's see what the reel shows us.
Mention you really good historical context in order to see where that argument is moving towards. And that's especially important.
Who is the holy word of life? Who is the vision to our eyes? Who is the love that will abide? Only Jesus. Only Jesus.
Adoption is kind of like, mentioned throughout the Old Testament. Or in Greek word, I keep hearing Dr. Trevor say, ecclesia.
Only Jesus. Who is lifted high? Only Jesus.
All right. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on our Instagram at SOLIDD Online. I saw Chris doing a little shy thing over there, a little blush maybe. We know how Chris is. But that was great from him, being able to share what he's learned from CTC. And that's what we did the past, 2 weeks ago, actually. And I hope those who have benefited from it don't forget what you guys have learned, and especially actually kind of do the things that were said in the video, applying it in your churches as well. So we're grateful at SOLIDD Online to have these opportunities. And as always, there will be more said about it and also other opportunities said later. But for this week, Matthew, today, we see a mention of the kingdom that is to come, the kingdom that has come, the king is here, and how it's going to be fulfilled, right? And what Jesus talks about comes with a sense of warning, or it causes us to reflect on our own lives, whether we are ready for what is coming ahead. Now, for that is what has led me to do a little something different for y'all today. I'm gonna hand over the power to you guys for my own emceeing. Now, I initially thought of something cooler where if you guys know streams, they can choose what the streamer does, but that would be too much control in your hands. So I did a little something different. If you move to the next slide, the game is you have the choice to implement one rule for me to follow for the rest of the session today. And the only two things are, if I fail, you get to decide a consequence for me. And secondly, rules must be reasonable. So what Douglas just said about when Lati speaks, you need to leave, that is not possible, okay? I still need to be here for the segment. And you can't say stuff like, if Lati breathes, he has to do like 100 push-ups. That's not allowed either. So it has to be reasonable. I hope you guys, if Lati started, I get to actually come. That's not really a, oh, well, I just started, so I am afraid of that one. We're gonna hear other suggestions that you guys have, more reasonable ones. If you guys are muted, do you mind clicking on the chat so I can see what people are suggesting? I give you guys some examples here. So anytime Lati ends a sentence, he must say tomato for a rule. Or anytime Lati says now, which I thought of because I actually do that more often than I think, he must do 5 push-ups. But that would delay the segment a lot. Or whenever Lati says I, he must do a dab or something. No, Douglas, those are just suggestions. Okay? Bro doesn't train legs. Please don't make me train legs. We can cover his face. Okay, that'll be hard if you guys choose C because I just said that again. And I just said that again as well. And I just said that. Oh no. Oh no. Now, if you guys don't have any, oh, okay, that's pretty scary. Every end of a sentence can be seen. I'm afraid that everyone's gonna hear. Any other suggestions you guys have in chat? Last ones. If not, I guess we will go with C. Whew. I guess you'll go with B. Alright, Justin.
Can we change the push-ups to squats since you don't train legs?
Well, we'll ask the majority here.
Yeah,
we'll
I see
ask
a
the
thumbs up
majority.
from Justin.
We have 2 votes for B. I hope you guys don't make me do the actual physical stuff. I will not do burpees, okay? Squats are understandable, but every time I'm going to be disappearing under the table. B, another B, another B. That's 4 B's. Any C's, guys? Anything else? Like maybe he has to drink some water once in a while. Lati says, he does 5 squats, 5 push-ups. Oh, maybe I'll tweak it a little bit since I hear his B. Okay, I have to comply. We'll go with B. So we'll go with anytime Lati says now, he must do, let's do 2 squats, okay? 2? Are we okay with 2?
5, bro, 5.
2?
This is 5, bro.
Please? Guys, I do not want to do 5 because it will lengthen the segment by maybe like 10 minutes.
Brother, how slow are you gonna be?
Alright, let's negotiate. 3? 3? Nat says 3? 3? Everybody okay with 3?
You could do 5. You could do 5.
3? I could do 5, but I would not like to do 5. We go up a bit more. I mean, I'll be going up and down under the table quite often if you make me do it. 3? I'll just say 3, okay? Thanks, Nat. I'll just say Nat speaks for the majority.
I'm seeing a lot of 5s here, bro.
I'll just say Nat speaks for the majority. Thank you.
No, 5.
Thank you, Jerome, for your input. We'll get you to speak later. But we'll go with 3. So the rule is anytime Lati says now, he must do 3 push-ups. I mean 3 squats, sorry. And I will try my best to not say that word. The forbidden word like Harry Potter or something. Okay. Thankful for that. I was just about to say the word. Thankful for that. Next up, alright, we have, if you look at the next slide. Okay. You guys might be wondering why that happened. I have no idea myself. Let's just move on. But hopefully it'll work the next time it comes up. I'm gonna pass the time now to Jerome for mixers, and you guys can have fun there as well. Okay, I'm gonna disappear now. Oh.
You said now, you said now, you said now, you said now.
Guys, I just hit a box.
Did you say it twice?
Oh, you're recording me?
Pretty sure you said it twice. Like, that's 10.
Wait, I can't even see the... Alright. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
You gotta do 6. You said it twice.
1, 2, 3.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. That was great. Let's move on now. Oh!
This is too easy, bro. This is too easy.
2, 3. I promise I'm not doing this on purpose, okay? I would not want to. Let's pass the time now to Jerome
You said now?
This reminds me how often I say that word, man. Jerome, go.
Hey guys, can y'all hear me? Okay, I'm just gonna introduce myself really quickly. I'm Jerome. I'm gonna be doing mixers for y'all. Can we just get the next slide up? Thanks. Okay. One minute, take stuff. One take, five things. 1 minute, discuss. Okay, let's go, guys. Yes. Okay, you've got 1 minute to discuss, and we'll break out into the breakout rooms. I'm pretty sure we have breakout rooms already. No, it doesn't need to be physical items. It can be like whatever items you know you'll need. 5 items. Okay? Please give me a list, and when we come back, y'all will have to explain why you took that thing logically. The way your team wins is if it logically makes sense that you grabbed it in 1 minute and you're gonna carry it around in an apocalyptic world, okay? Douglas is gonna say something like, I brought a tank, or like I brought a battleship. So I know this man is I know this man's gonna be a Connie said, yeah. Yeah. I know y'all are gonna be trolling me throughout the whole mixer, but yes, have fun. Pagani Zonda type art is crazy, bro. No, you're fine. Okay, guys. So how was it? How was the 1 minute?
It was solid.
Tough. Y'all are a tough crowd today, bro. Can you like liven up? Like
What's so
low
funny,
key,
Zach?
low key, y'all are dead, bro.
Low-key,
Anyways,
Oh, this guy is
we
so
got
funny,
all
guys.
5 items.
you got all
Yeah,
5
yeah.
items in 1
Yeah.
minute, really?
Yeah, we like discussed it in a minute. We were like, yep, this is definitely what you need.
Okay, that's
for
crazy.
the
Okay,
entire
okay.
apocalypse.
The
Okay,
Avengers.
I have a lot of hope in y'all, so I'm gonna ask instead of your group, I'm gonna ask the other group what their items were. Because if y'all got 5 items, it means y'all must have thought it out. I hope. Okay. Okay, guys. The group that I was with was Nissy, Gordon, the Friska,
Sean.
Sean, yeah, Sean, and me. So, representative, who wants to tell me what your items are and how many items? You can send it in the chat if you want.
Alright. The first item will bring 5-liter water, 1 each. Must bring water, right? Of course, obviously.
Okay.
Now, second item, 1 box of canned food each. Must eat, right? Yeah. Makes sense.
Okay.
Number 3, a Bible.
A Bible, okay.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Why?
Well, you're gonna die anyways, so just pay.
Right. Okay, do you have any other
Right.
items?
Fourth item, a gun.
Okay.
We gotta protect ourselves instead of any intruders.
Right, okay. Fair.
Last item, probably a car,
Okay.
so we can drive around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you get the 5-liter bottle in 1 minute?
Yeah, I just got it with me, like, next to me at all
Yeah,
times.
you have a 5-liter bottle?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, okay. The how about the box of canned food?
Oh yeah, I also got it with me.
Yeah, you have it around your house, yeah.
Yeah, I just have it in my inventory at all times.
Right. Okay, some Minecraft shit. Okay. Okay, fair. Can I get the other group's list, please?
All right.
Actually, you know what? Ours is also a bit similar, but obviously not the same things. So, the first one would be water, obviously, and
Okay.
all the water, just all the water.
What?
How are you gonna carry that?
Second, we also chose canned food actually because canned food is gonna be, like, it's the best for the apocalypse. So like all the canned food, okay. And oh no, this serious guy, this total world destruction will be so for real right now. Then the third one, right? Because like when you talked about the examples, so a bit like actually that makes a lot of sense. We're gonna go and get like all the tanks, like all the tanks, every single one there is on this world.
Y'all are doing this in 1 minute?
Yeah. Because we're like multiple, because like Justice is Sarawak, and then Douglas is somewhere, Ryan is somewhere. Like we're gonna like can gather up in like 1 minute, like and the fifth one, right? And no, the fourth one. Actually, we also had a Bible, but our Bible is gonna be indestructible. Because obviously we need that, right? Because it's total world destruction, right? So obviously your Bible's gonna disintegrate. You know how thin those papers are, right? We're gonna need an indestructible Bible here, guys. And the fifth one, right? We didn't choose a car. We didn't need a car, okay? You know what we need? We need Pastor Daniel, okay, for solid food every single day. He's gonna come with us and he's gonna feed us solid food every single day during the world apocalypse, right? Like obviously we got a Bible, but like how are we gonna study it, right? How are we gonna know what Matthew's about? We need Pastor Daniel on this, guys. We need to save.
I feel like your last answer is the only logical one. That's the one that I can somewhat understand. The rest are okay. What does all water imply? Brother, the earth is like 70% ocean. Hello?
All of it, yeah. If you're being so for real, I have like a 99 Speed Mart just like right outside my neighborhood. I can probably just run and grab all the supplies.
Why didn't you say that?
All the water would be much funnier. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, your list is full, but the other group gets the point for this round, guys. What the
Bro
heck?
hates Pastor Daniel, guys. Guys. Mixer guy. Fire
When
him.
I said logical, did it just like logically fly out of your head, or bro, y'all are trolling, bro. Now I have complete lack of faith about the next round. Because the next round I was gonna give y'all 30 seconds to take 3 items. It's okay, I'll get yeah. Just have fun, guys. 3 items. Y'all are actually trolling, bro. I did not expect that to go so quickly. Should I give them another round?
I feel like Jerome's gonna regret.
Everybody.
He's gonna regret.
You're gonna.
Alright.
Yo, Sven is driving again.
Sven, are you already in the apocalypse, my guy? You're
He's
preparing
already
already?
preparing for the 30 seconds.
No, I'm
He's going.
getting the fight, bro.
He's getting the water and the food.
He's getting all the water. Okay, guys. So since I was in the other team last round and I kind of know their answers already, I'm gonna get the other group to go first. So Ryan, Douglas, Shanice, Justin, Sven, you know, the trollers, Garden. Garden's the other group, my bad. Yeah, can I get a representative to state your 3 items?
Since I said last one, who am I bugging? Okay, since I said last one, who wants to say it this time? Just so that the women don't take over. Unless you want me to go again, then I'm fine with that. I vote Doug. Okay, Doug. You've been voted. You don't have answers right. You don't have answers right. Just say, like, do you recall what we discussed? Nah, I don't remember. Dang. Our teammate sucks.
Yeah, I forgot, bro.
Dang.
My
I guess
fault,
I'll
my
say it
fault.
then, since the men don't want to step up. So we have 3 items, right? We're like, let's think outside the box, right? Let's go beyond items, right? So the first thing, if you can say it, if we're gonna bring the apocalypse within 30 seconds, is Pastor Robin. Our fellow. Yeah, Pastor Robin. He's not just a pastor, right? He's also good at shooting. He does archery, right? He can help us in the apocalypse, right? Like he probably can hunt a bear or something. Like look, like have you seen him? The second one would be Pastor Jerome. Not that just because it's a pastor, but also because I don't even know, but Pastor Jerome studied medicine. So like he's
You're
also a
saying he
doctor.
can be your medic?
Yeah. And not just that, he is jacked, so he can also probably be really efficient doing like the gun is more effective than a bow. He can probably shoot a gun. He can learn. Duh, if there's a gun somewhere, I guess you can ask Laddie later. And I mean, since we're going by pattern, the third person we're going to bring is Pastor Vanessa, our fellow IRF pastor. Not because she's just a pastor, but because she's also a psychologist. So like she can help us with our mental stability during the apocalypse, guys. Yeah, so they don't go mentally insane and kill one another, right? It's like total destruction.
Totally.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't think of that? Yeah.
Yeah. So like we get solid food every day, and we get so many better. Like hey guys, yeah. Those are 3 items, if you could say other items.
I should have said specifically items like objects.
Yeah, I should have.
Okay, that's my fault, guys. Sorry. Y'all trolling, bro. How y'all gonna get these 3 guys during 30 seconds, bro? How are you gonna do?
Call them up, duh.
Right, yeah. Totally.
Yeah,
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. We're like 5 on our team. 1 call, 1 each, then we're done.
Okay, fair. Can I get the other team, please? My man, Big Stepper Garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. Interesting question for the other group. So I think our items doesn't change much. So first one we bring is a Bible. Of course, you need God. You always need God. Okay. Second thing we're gonna bring is a gun to protect ourselves. You got Nathaniel here. You can grab us some right away. No problem.
Bro's the merchant.
Yeah. Third one's a little interesting. We're bringing DC's dog, apparently.
Apparently, okay.
Yeah,
Why
she said if
Nissy's
we don't
dog?
bring, like, she's gonna kill us. So, like, yeah, just bring on.
Nissy, you're threatening them to bring your dog.
Yeah. Like, I ain't trying to die, you know what I'm saying? Alright, that's all for us.
I don't know which of the two is worse. Nissy's dog, a gun, and a Bible. Okay.
Hey, come on. You know the obvious winner, okay? It's us.
No,
bro,
you
your-
know
your-
the
your
obvious winner
dog-
for her.
Your
They
dog
got
threw it
one
off the-
singular gun and a dog, guys.
No, we have the merchant dealer himself with us, Nathaniel Charles. He went to the army, guys. Okay, So he's gonna get us like a box loads of guns. We are pretty good, okay?
But
We're
who's
pretty
gonna
good.
use it if you don't have
In
people to
30
use it for?
seconds?
Yeah. Like he literally has it under his bunker, Shanice. Like, what do you think?
Where's John Wick?
Exactly, like apocalypse. Okay, let me gear up.
Lieutenant looks like he didn't sign up for this, bro.
So Jerome, you of course know the winner, right?
Do I
Jerome,
though?
Jerome, if you don't
Do
see the
I?
pastors, you know what is gonna happen, right?
No, you see,
Jerome,
Nah, we got the
What?
Bible, bro.
We got
Exactly.
three
Okay.
pastors
Okay, just
and
go-
like multiple other benefits. Yeah.
going off logic, you could grab a Bible, Nathaniel's gun from his bunker, and Nissy's dog in 30 seconds. How are you gonna grab 3 people in 30 seconds? Like they live so
we
far
we
away.
prep. It's
Exactly.
nearby. It's
Sven is
Jerome,
literally driving right now. Sven
No,
is literally
no.
on the way, guys.
Red is going to go get them right now.
He's literally prepping as we speak.
Exactly, like from all the way from Johor.
They're in the
Oh
car
my
right now,
God.
right? Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, sure.
Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to give this to Gordon and Nissy's
What?
team.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go, Gordon.
Get this guy out
Let's
of here,
go.
bro.
Everybody,
Okay.
all hail my dog. I'm kidding.
We're just too good.
That's
We're just too good.
crazy.
Let's go.
I'm kidding.
I didn't want to let Nissy's dog win, but yeah.
Excuse me, Jerome Johnson. I'm going to put you as a food for the zombies. You better watch out. Sleep with an eye open.
I can't with this woman. Okay, guys, that's all for mixers.
I'm back. I have some comments to make. Those were some questionable picks, especially the human ones, if I might say. The human choices. I don't think you can just choose to bring a... I think you have to ask them first, is what I'm trying to say. And they might say no, you know what I'm saying? I forgot Letty can hear this. Yes. Should I pick Letty? That's exactly what I'm talking about. You can't just choose someone and kidnap them or something. Also, when you guys said Nissy's dog, I thought you guys were planning to eat it. That's why I thought you were gonna bring Nissy's dog. Until, yeah, I realized Nissy was in the group as well. HR, please eat Letty first. I literally thought you guys were bringing Nissy's dog to eat it. I'm not even kidding. Alright, we're gonna move on. So, wow, really, guys? Come on. Come on. Surely you guys were scared or something. I don't know why it keeps popping up, but surely you guys are scared. Well, the person gave a thumbs up. In my slide script, I put here, haha, got you guys again. But I didn't say it the first time because you guys were scared. Yeah, I'm gonna quit, bro. Alright, now. Sorry. It was on my. It was on my script. So I said, can I get a show of hands? 1, 2, 3. Alright, cool. Out of the way. Let me just ignore this now. Actually, I shouldn't even read my script anymore. I did? No way! No way! Are you sure? I said... Whoa! Wait, are you guys gaslighting me? I don't remember saying that. I was like pretty conscious of it. 1, 2, 3. Can I get a show of hands? Who has attended Solid Goods before? Put up your hands. Well, I see a lot of hands. Knees raised hand. Well, I don't know how knees would be able to raise a hand, but that's interesting. Thank you for raising your hands. Now I have some. Yo, this is torture. This is torture. You know why I say that word? It's actually because I am not looking at my script. I think it's a filler word. It's a big filler word for me. Right here, I have something to announce about solid groups. So, and I'm not gonna read chat. So for those who have attended solid groups, those who raised up your hands, I really appreciate you guys coming out to support solid groups, to be present, to continue the effort that we have and we do on Mondays. And for this announcement, we just want to say that we appreciate you guys coming out, okay, spending your Tuesday nights, because we value the time that you dedicate to loving God and His Word. That's why for those who have attended solid groups over the past few months, doesn't matter how long you guys have been attending, we see the commitment, and likewise, we're always trying to improve ourselves in terms of the program, how we run things, whether or not there may be changes. For this announcement, there is going to be a little change coming to solid groups, but not as big as you think, but still hopefully an effective change. Okay. For those who are looking forward to it, those who know what we usually do at solid groups, we're going to have a little change for the future with the same zeal and heart and soul for God and His Word. So in terms of diving deep, structuring everything, that's going to mostly stay the same. That's going to be our focus, our goals, so that we can grow as Christians, because that's what we're concerned for. But we also know that you guys need more time and would benefit from spending more time in terms of discussing with one another, reflecting with one another from the Monday nights. Because consistency is key for actually being able to practice what you guys have learned on Mondays. Okay, not just to get puffed up in our knowledge, especially for those, because we reach out, Solid Online reaches out across seas and everything. So for this, it's about making those steps towards that. So you're going to see more time for discussion, even sharing, and also games when we have time for those, and when you guys come together as well. So again, it's going to have the same heart and soul, and we're going to have more banter, more fun times. And if you look at the next slide, it's going to be all the same things. I replace what Ryan upholds with everything else that we do at solid groups. And the last thing I have to say about that, hopefully you guys are excited, is just invite your friends, okay? So if you click next, that's just what you guys can focus on and what you guys can get into the mental of when it comes for tomorrow and the next upcoming solid groups. Again, as mentioned, we're always trying to improve. So do give us feedback as well in terms of how you find the new structuring of things. And we hope you look forward to it. All right. Moving on. I will say the word. Moving on. Okay, invite your friends. So, I'm not sure where that came from. But for the slides right now, I have another announcement just for your knowledge about what we said last week. So we reminded you guys that World Works and Milk is coming up. This is just a short PSA, that it's happening very soon. So 4 days time is Milk. It's going to be getting the basics of reading the Bible. So we talked about strengthening ourselves in biblical literacy. We talked about CTC, and we're going to have Reverend Robin Gan, actually the guy you were talking about just now. You can't steal him, but you can see him. If you guys know what I'm saying, might as well go for it and learn the Bible while you're at it. But we know that we want to be more than just people who have a shallow understanding of who Jesus is. Yo, Sven, drive faster. I have no idea where Sven is going to. I made a comment last week as well, and Sven was driving as well, like last week. So hopefully you're safe, Sven. But for Milk and What Works, if you go to the next slide, it's also happening concurrently, and it's going to be on Numbers Part 2 and Proverbs. So for us to get a deeper understanding of the Bible is key, because Jesus is Christ. He is the Christ. He's Jesus from the scriptures. So it's important for us to thus learn the Bible properly, to learn in a deep manner so that we can apply it. All right. So this is your last chance to sign up. Just a little PSA for y'all. All right. Now the last.
Now.
I'm leaving this chair soon, so I hope that's the last time I say it. One, two.
I like how we're getting two perspectives of this. Mildred's giving us a clear background view of it too.
Okay, a little breakdown of what we'll be seeing today. If you look at the next slide, this is why the jump scares have been happening. You guys weren't scared at all, which is very disappointing. Okay, shame on y'all. Shame on y'all. Okay, you do feel shame? You feel shame, Shanice? You don't seem like you feel shame at all. Even the Friska gave a thumbs up just now. Mildred, do you mind scrolling down the chat? I'm proud. Nat, I'm disappointed that you're not shaved. I'm disappointed that you're not scared, actually. I can hear in his voice. I think Letty got more scared instead. You know, I actually don't like horror at all. So when I was finding a video, and I was trying to make sure that it had a jump scare, I was bracing myself for the jump scare. I was scared to click on the video because I didn't know when it was going to pop up. Bro, Nat's in the military. Obviously, he's not scared. Fair enough. I respect that. Anyways, this is why. So if you look at the text, this is a peek of what we're looking at in today's text from Matthew 24 to 26 before I get Douglas to come up and read the Bible passage. So you look there, Jesus is going to give this sense of readiness that you need to be informed about. He says in verse 42, "Therefore stay awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming." And verse 44, "Therefore you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect." And also verse 45, where it says, "Who then is the faithful and wise servant whom his master has set over his household and to give them their food at the proper time?" So he's speaking to you guys, okay? And again, it's all about who's in God's kingdom versus who isn't. And verse 46 gives us this idea of blessedness once again, which we saw way back in places like Matthew 13 and way before in the Beatitudes, because blessedness is what God sees to be blessed. And so he says things like, "Blessed are those who have ears to hear." Okay? So for you guys to keep that in mind as Douglas reads the passage is key for prepping your mind for the talk later on. On that note, I'm going to get Douglas to come up online and read the passage for today.
It's working. Yay. Okay, so I'll be reading Matthew 24 to 26 and as well as Daniel 7. For those who have their physical Bibles, please flip to please use your physical Bible. And for those who don't have a physical Bible, ushers will put the text inside of the chat. Yes, thank you, Jovi. Okay. Tell me when can you guys give a thumbs up when you guys are there? Thank you. Okay, it looks like Gordon is done. Who else? Okay, so I'll start from Matthew 24. Jesus left the temple and was going away when his disciples came to point out to him the buildings of the temple. But he answered them, "You see all these, do you not? Truly I say to you, there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown away." As he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Jesus answered them, "See that no one leads you astray. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and they will lead many astray. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of the birth pains. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death. And you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. And many false prophets will arise and lead many astray. And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations. And then the end will come. So when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel, standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is on the housetop not go down to take what is in his house, and let the one who is in the field not turn back to take his cloth. And alas, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on a Sabbath, for then will be great tribulation, such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now, and no, and never will be. And if those days had not been cut short, no human being would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. Then if anyone says to you, "Look, here is the Christ," or "There he is," do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you beforehand. So if they say to you, "Look, he is in the wilderness," do not go out. If they say, "Look, he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever the corpse is, there the vultures will gather. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. From the fig tree, learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts out its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see all these things, you know that he is near, at the very gates. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But concerning that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father only. For as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days, before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage, until the day when Noah entered the ark. And they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. Then 2 men will be in the field. One will be taken and one left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken and one left. Therefore stay awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known in what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and would not have let his house be broken into. Therefore, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. Who then is faithful and wise servant, whom his master has set over his household, to give them their food at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master will find so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you, he will set him over all his possessions. But if that wicked servant say to himself, Master is delayed, and begins to beat his fellow servants and eats and drinks with drunkards, the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and put him with hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 of them were wise. For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them. But the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a cry, Here is the bridegroom! Come out to meet him! Then all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, Since there will not be enough for us and for you, go rather to the dealer and buy for yourselves. And while they were going to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch out therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. For it will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servant and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here, I have 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also, who had the 2 talents, came forward, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here, I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you did not scatter no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gathered where I scatter no seed, then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers. And at my coming, I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. You gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? And the king will answer them, Truly, I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these brothers, you did it to me. Then he will say to those on his left, Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger and you did not welcome me. Naked and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison and you did not visit me. Then they also will answer, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not minister to you? Then he will answer them, saying, Truly I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these will not go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. When Jesus had finished all these saying, he said to his disciples, You know that after 2 days the Passover is coming, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified. Then the chief priests and the elders of the people gathered in the place of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and plotted together in order to arrest Jesus by stealth and killed him. But they said, Not during the feast, lest there will be an uproar among the people. Now we will go to Daniel 7. For those who are at Daniel 7, you guys can give a thumbs up as usual if you guys are there already. Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay. Daniel 7. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel saw a dream and visions of his head as he lay in his bed. Then he wrote down the dream and told the sum of the matter. Daniel declared, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea, and four great beasts came up out of out of the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle wings. Then as I looked, its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the ground and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And the mind of a man was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second one, like a bear. It was raised up on one side. It had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And it was told, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I looked, and behold, another, like a leopard with 4 wings of a bird on its back. And the beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, terrified and dreadful, and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. As I looked, thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames. Its wheels were burning fire. A stream of fire issued and came out from before him. 1,000,000 serves him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. I looked then because of the sound of the great words that the horn was speaking. And as I looked, the beast was killed, and its body destroyed and given over to be burned with fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and was present before him. And to him was given dominion, and glory, and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. As for me, Daniel, my spirit within me was anxious, and the visions of my head alarmed me. I approached one of those who stood there and asked him the truth concerning all these. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of the things. These 4 great beasts are 4 kings who shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. Then I desire to know the truth about the 4th beast, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly terrifying, with the teeth of iron and claws of bronze, and which devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. And about the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn that came up, and before which 3 of them fell, the horn that had eyes and a mouth that spoke great things, and that seemed greater than its companions. As I looked, these horns made war with the saints and prevailed over them, until Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given for the for the saints of the Most High, and the time came from the saints possess the kingdom. Thus he said, as for the fourth beast, there shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all kingdoms, and it shall devour the whole earth, and trample it down, and break it to pieces. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings. He shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law, and they shall be given into his hand for a time, times and half a time. But the court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion shall be taken away, to be consumed and destroyed to the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. His kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Here is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly alarmed me, and my color changed, but I kept the matter in my heart. So yeah, that's it for the Bible reading. I will pass back the time or to Letty.
Okay, hi everyone. Wait, so Letty, do I start or sorry? Okay, hi everyone. Today's passage is actually, I don't know if you guys tried to get it, but today's passage is one of the controversial passages in the Bible. And it's actually one of the passages that has a lot of difficulties for many scholars. And so it was a little bit difficult for me at the start when I was looking through it, thinking through it. But if you know your Matthew well enough, the difficulty shouldn't be too hard. And that's what we're going to do today. Today's passage will be especially hard if you are not accustomed to reading in context, reading a lot of the whole book. It's a passage that many people have used to do exactly the opposite of what the passage asks you to do. A lot of people use this passage to predict the time of Christ's return. So when is Christ going to come back? What are the clues to come back? When actually the passage tells you the opposite. Yeah, I remember. I think people are very fascinated. Still, there's a bunch of people, particular kind of churches, that is still very fascinated about when Christ is coming back. I was just talking to a CF president last week. I asked her, what is one topic you want to really look into? She said, I want to look into the end times. You know, I don't know about whether you guys, actually usually Christians are quite fascinated by end times. We've got Revelation and all that. But there's of course a particular extreme group of Christians who are always predicting. I remember growing up as Christian, and they always predict. They have different predictions about when Christ come back. Last time during my time was, okay, some of you weren't born in this time, year 2000. They say Y2K. We heard of Y2K, year 2K. So that's when the world was supposed to end. I remember sitting there and waiting, and nothing happened. So these things are real. People use these passages to that extent, and how does it affect that, right? Some people, because they try to pinpoint when Jesus is coming back, then they use that as positively and negatively to spur people on. You must repent. You must evangelize. Jesus is coming back soon. There are some applications of this that go very far and actually damage people's lives. For some people, because they really believe that Christ is coming back at a certain time, they really literally sell everything and give up their jobs, and then go all out, either positively or negatively to live their life, or just to give their life to serving God, and then once the date comes, Jesus doesn't come back, because they believe that when Jesus comes back, then they'll be found faithful. Then Jesus doesn't come back, and they are lost with everything. They've lost everything. So, how do we think about these things? And actually, what is Matthew 24 to 25 really teaching? Okay, let me pray, and then we'll get into it. God, we thank you for tonight, another night where we can look into your scriptures, think deeply about it, and learn what you have to say about what we ought to do, what you expect from us before you return. May we study this passage well, make sure that we don't make the same mistakes as the disciples do. Watch our souls, repent, and delight in serving you, as we will see in the parable. Okay, I won't have time to cover every single verse today. The passage is too long, too many parables. So I will cover 24 and one parable in 25. And I think if you get, the most important thing for you today is to get what this passage is about in chapter 24. In other books of the gospel, it's Mark 13. John is not so much the same, 14 and 16. Then in Luke, I don't remember which chapter now, but yeah, this passage, when you first read it, almost sounds like Jesus telling you when he's coming back. But that's the opposite of what it's saying. And so how do we understand it? Now, just to give you a bit of context, again, reminding you on where we are, and this will actually be helpful when you understand what's going on. So the larger context for 24-25 is 21-25. I've talked to you this last week. This is the section where Jesus now is entering the final phase of his ministry. He's entering as the king of Israel. The fulfillment, the replacement of old corrupted Israel, to condemn it, and as well as to save it through condemning it. Right? In chapter 23 last week, we saw this especially when Jesus cursed the Pharisees, the Israelites, the old Israel, exposing them thoroughly. There are 7 woes, cursing them 7 times, and condemning the Pharisees and the scribes for their hypocrisy. Remember what hypocrisy is? Hypocrisy is not just I say one thing and do another. Hypocrisy is this very deep-rooted refusal to struggle with sin. Hypocrisy is the problem that all of us have, Christians, non-Christians. This deep refusal to struggle with God's standard, and therefore thinking you are okay, thinking you're good. It can be similar to narcissism, it can be self-entitlement, whatever it is, you just want your own way. And therefore you are pretending to be someone that God doesn't actually think you are. And so what we're learning from 21-23 as we see Jesus going to condemn Israel, calling out hypocrisy, calling them out for not struggling internally to love God and actually see their need for Jesus, we see continually and again what the Son of God truly looks like. By Jesus condemning them, we see, and by seeing Jesus calling out hypocrisy, and by feeling it that we are hypocrites, we continue to see how great Jesus is. We see how much we need Jesus, the Son of God, and also the kind of person we ought to be in Christ. When we look at Matthew 23, for example, the answer is not we must work harder. The real answer is we must see this is us. We are hypocrites. We are completely hypocrites. We must follow Christ. And once we get that, we also learn to see the kind of person we ought to be now in Christ. Okay, when you look at chapter 23 and you think about, okay, now we see what is wrong, what it means to be Christian. It's not therefore work harder, but it's now seeing that what Christ has saved us to be, the kind of person we ought to be, and knowing how to live accordingly. So at this point, after Jesus condemned them, we see Jesus is the true temple. He is the one who can make us truly clean. He's the one who can make us truly human through his own obedience to God in the end, and then after that, his death and resurrection. He's the one who can mediate God's glory to us. So at this point, what you need to be able to see already, you just need to be fixing your eyes. As Jesus scolds them, the right response should be your amazement. Of course, you should be shocked and scared and ashamed of your own sin, but at the same time, it should produce another reaction in you. Amazement about God, respect and love and honor and humble kind of love for him. To be deceived into thinking that anything else in this world can replace Christ. Like Jesus Christ is our hero, in other words. To think that anything other than Christ is better in this world. Any other way of living can be better than the life that Christ gives us is foolishness. And yet this is what we're seeing in today's passage. And this passage continues to warn us of. When we look at disciples again, this is another, this is the kind of, we've seen this many times before. Jesus teaches, warns against the Pharisees. Now the disciples come up and do this whole stunt again, where they become just like the Pharisees, and we have to learn deeply about it. Okay, so Matthew almost has pattern. Jesus condemns the Pharisees, the disciples do the same thing, which mirrors us. And now as believers, we have to remember, we have to learn from them and make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes. This passage will warn us against our fleshliness, or you can say our own self-preserving and self-exalting tendencies. Okay, so let's take a look at 34 verse 1. Jesus left the temple and was going away. And when his disciples came, point out to him when his disciples came to point out to him the buildings of the temple. Now, when you just read this verse alone, it's probably quite neutral for you, but you have to read it with 23 in mind. In fact, with 21, 23 in mind. Remember what Jesus has just done to the Pharisees, and also in reference to the temple. So Matthew 23, just refresh your memories. Just finished condemning them. And here he puts it. This is final climax of warning judgment. Basically, Jesus has condemned the whole old Israel institution. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the sea that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often would I have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. So verse 38, this is Jesus basically condemning the temple. Your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again till you say, blessed is he who comes in the name. And right after this, Jesus leaves. This whole Jesus leaving, chapter 24, verse 1, needs to be read along together. He says, your house is desolate. And Jesus literally leaves to make the point, all Jerusalem is destroyed. I will replace it. Jesus is the superhero. Jesus is the person we need to fix our eyes on now. But that's where, when you see what the disciples did, it's messed up. As Jesus was going away, his disciples came. So you have to imagine the scene. Disciples came to stop him. Because what were they doing? They're trying to point out to him the buildings of the temple. So already this action is messed up already. They should just shut up and just follow Jesus and be very fearful. This is another one of those bread moment, like, Jesus, where's my bread? Jesus, we didn't bring any bread moment, where they're completely aloof. And the bigger issue is why. Why are they so blur? What is so deeply rooted in them is causing them to become like this? Mark 13, if you want, gives us a clearer picture of what they actually said. So Mark 13, this is what they said. Look, teacher, what beautiful stones and what wonderful buildings. If you are Jesus and if you follow the story so far, this is a kill me now moment. Okay, if you don't read in context, you won't get the pain here. This sentence that they said is very painful for Jesus. After what Jesus just said, it's like Jesus saying, all of you terrible people, ugliest people, I'm divorcing you, all of you are terrible. Then they say, oh, Jesus, the person very beautiful. It's almost like they haven't been listening to what Jesus said, and they're just living according to their impulses and feelings. Right? You guys know people like that? Never listen one. Whatever you say, you talk to them, in the end, they look at you blur, and then they just say, hey, I like this, I like that. It's like they're just living by their impulses, living by their feelings day to day. They don't listen. They're like us. And we're like Adam and Eve in the garden, who live according to our feelings. Now, just to help you understand this a little bit more, you do need to appreciate how beautiful the temple is. So how temple was like during King Herod's time. So I've got a picture for you. Hopefully they put it up. Okay. This is actually in Jesus's time standards a very beautiful, magnificent. It's like one of the marvels in the world. You look at the temple. So the whole thing is a temple. You can see the outer courtyard. Last time I preached, I showed you there's outer courtyard. There's the whole size of it, and you can see in relation to the height of the temple and the size of the temple compared to everything else. There's no building taller than it. So this is the same feeling you get when you go to any. Have you guys ever visited any like amazing places? You just go in there and you're breathless immediately. That's the kind of effect that the temple will have for you. And if any of you have read Exodus and Leviticus, you know it's not just the size and the height that's impressive, it's the interior design. So, next one, next slide. Okay, the slides person is here, right? You are okay because you're delayed. Sorry. Those of you who read Exodus, Leviticus, you know, right? The temple, especially, look at this gold. It's not just the size, but it's the interior design of it, the material it's built, the quality. You go in there, you walk in the temple, your mouth will just be wide open and awed. That's what the disciples were saying. I mean, when you read the disciples, it's worth thinking, were they listening to Jesus? If they were listening to Jesus, it makes it even worse, you know. Jesus is saying, I'm going to leave this house now. And one interpretation that makes the disciples even worse, Jesus says that they get it, but then they are just, they refuse to accept what Jesus is saying. And Jesus, look at this temple. It's so amazing. Okay, just give you a quote from Archie France. So it was so amazing that even the people of the ancient times, so Josephus was a very famous historian, and Josephus and the rabbis agree that Herod's temple and its associated structures at this time, still in process of completion, were awesome both in size and in magnificence, and it was well calculated. It was designed to impress any visitor. Galilean, because Galilean is just outside of Jerusalem, it's impressed. It's meant to make them jaw drop. It's the kind of building that you visit once, you visit every time you go there, you are just breathless. For some of us, for some few people, you go to Italy, you see the Vatican, you see the, what's that called again? The building in the Vatican. I can't remember now. Basically, all the famous artists and all that sculptured it, designed the whole place. It's beautiful. If you've ever experienced this before, just can't help it. So at one level, we're not surprised, or you shouldn't be surprised that the disciples are marveling at the temple architecture as Jesus was leaving, and maybe also confused, like, Jesus, this building is so amazing. Why do you want to leave it? Why do you want to destroy it? But this is the problem. By Matthew 24, we have to really watch out. This is the problem. They have failed to see reality as God sees them. On the surface, what you see is Jesus, this is a point of frustration. Their failure is very deep. It's causing them not to see reality. So yes, the temple is pretty, but do you not see it as God sees it? Which is, it is pretty on the outside, but inside it's corrupted. After learning from Jesus so long, are you still so dull? Are you still so stupid? Are you still incapable of understanding reality through Jesus' teaching? Even as they have been discipled by Jesus. What has Jesus said about the temple? Matthew 21, if you remember. He's called the temple a den of robbers. If you remember, we talked about this. Jesus said this as a way of condemning the whole institution for its corruption. It's not just saying, the problem is not just buying and selling. The problem is whoever goes into this temple, you don't hear about God. You don't hear about Christ. You don't hear God's righteousness being preached. You don't hear the law properly being preached. All you hear is them using the temple for religion. You don't hear the teachings that Jesus taught. You don't hear people being condemned or exposed for their sinfulness. All you see is people feeling good about themselves. That is a den of robbers. You are producing people who are self-righteous, which is the opposite of what God expects, which is what the opposite of what the Bible does to sinful humanity. You are a den of robbers. You're just here to make money. It's completely corrupted already. And Jesus has said this already before also. Remember last week's condemnation also, chapter 23, 13 to 15. You are a den of robbers because the Pharisees, whatever people you convert, you bring to the temple, it ends up becoming twice as much a child of hell as yourself. So he's condemning the whole institution of them producing more and more hypocrites. Producing people who go to the temple and feel good about themselves rather than mourn and hunger for thirst for righteousness and to hold on to Jesus. We didn't cover this passage last week, but maybe I'll just cover that here. 25, 28. Woe to you. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. For you clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but inside. So this is the problem with the temple and with the Jews and with everybody. On the outside, yes, this building on the outside looks amazing, pretty. But that's not what God cares about. God doesn't care about what you look on the outside. God doesn't care about how much makeup you put, how much you dress up. For Gen Zs, you guys dress up a lot or whatever, but God cares about what's inside. Inside, you are not repentant. Inside, you're full of yourself. Inside, you're full of greed and self-indulgent. You blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and plate, and then the outside may also be clean. Which one is more important, inside or outside? Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs. Okay, whitewashed tombs are basically tombs that have been used before, but you just cover it up. Which outwardly appear beautiful. It almost looks like, oh, this is very new, this is a new tomb, but actually it's been used before, yucky. But within are full of dead people's bones and are all uncleannesses. So you also outwardly appear righteous to others, but within you are full of hypocrisy, lawlessness. Anyone who walks into the doors of the temple become as hypocritical as they are. It's a place of quote-unquote religious people, but not repentant people. And the evidence of this is how people don't recognize Jesus. How people don't recognize Jesus for who he is. You guys have been with us in Matthew so far. Jesus is, how do you describe Jesus? Jesus and everything Jesus taught and has been showing. People don't recognize him. People don't protect him from the crucifixion. All this temple is a Pharisee producing machine, outwardly pious and inwardly evil. And the worst part is, guess what? Even the disciples who have been with Jesus are not that different from them still at this point. They are still judging things based on their sight, desires, rather than by the reality revealed by God's truth. This is the scary part. The disciples still have not learned to judge reality by God's word. The way we should be, okay, this is the Bible. Everything you've been learning in Matthew, already by now, you should be using the Bible as your lens. The way we should be seeing the world is the whole scriptures is our lens to see everything. Is that how you've been living? Or have you been coming to SOLIDD, you've been learning knowledge, then go back home and everything's the same? Or has your life been changed yet? Because this is what the Bible's supposed to do to us. We're supposed to put on the Bible lens and judging everything. Really want what you should do after tonight? You bring the Bible, you walk around. Okay, just illustration. Walk around. You talk to people. People say, hey, what are you doing? I'm trying to judge you based on the scriptures. That's what we ought to be. That's what the Bible, Jesus has called us to be. Are we that different from disciples, or are you the same? Are you like disciples who follow Jesus, but you're still in love with the pretentious things of this world? A disciple goes around listening to Jesus, and then when it comes to the world, his desire, oh, you're not very different from non-Christians. You're still like, oh, that's very pretty, very nice. Oh, I think it's so nice that they have their perfect life. I feel like I want to chase after that also. Rather than Matthew 5, 3-10, which is the right posture of Christian, the Beatitudes. The person who really sees reality as it is isn't happy most of the time. He's mourning. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. A true Christian is one who is mourning because you see things as God sees. The reality of sin, evil of this world, a world filled with sin and evil and under judgment. A person who truly sees things as God sees it is hungering and thirsting for righteousness because he can't find that here. I still remember last time when I was studying in IMU, this was very long ago. I was doing Bible study with my senior. He read Ephesians 2 with me. Some of you know Ephesians 2, the passage. I can put it up, I suppose. I remember him reading, he teaches me in Ephesians, we learn that you are walking dead. So you're dead in your sins. Can we put up Ephesians 2? Up so that they can see it. Okay, so we were dead in the trespasses and sins. So the first thing that I was shocked by is he asked me, what does this Bible verse mean? How are we dead? I was like, yeah, how are we dead, huh? And the death here is not just physical death. It is a deadness that still is alive. So verse 2, in which you once walked, you are walking dead. He describes us, all of us, naturally as people who are dead people who are walking. That's called zombies. He says, you look at, so this was very significant because we were in a clinical, we were in medical university where everybody professes to be saving lives. I was studying to be a doctor. And he says, based on the scriptures, you look around here, see these people, you see all your friends here. Are they dead or alive? That was one of the moments that really struck me because I realized I see them, they're walking around, they look alive, but actually from the scriptures, they're dead. And that was one of the scriptures that really got me thinking, wait, what am I doing in my life? I say I want to be a doctor, save people, but all I'm doing is hanging out with dead people. That was part of the passages that really struck me. I really rethink my life. If I want to save people, what should I be doing? Medicine, medical university, all these are dead people. I need to be preaching the gospel. So I went and preached the gospel, and now I am preaching the gospel. Do you live by God's word? Do you see reality as you are? Or you're just happily following the world, following the desires of your heart, following what the devil wants you to do? Just follow yourself. Desires of the heart and flesh and mind are nature, children of wrath. This is what you once were. This is not how a Christian should be living. The key to the Christian life now is to know Jesus, to know how he views this world, to know how he is the key to new life, his worthiness, and to follow him, to see Jesus as true life. And as Yanzi now speaks, to see Jesus is peak. Jesus is peak God, peak man, peak awesomeness. By chapter 24 now, the only thing the disciples should be feeling awesome is Jesus. Jesus, that was so amazing. That was so both scary and awesome. How you called out and how you are a man of God. You called out Jewish prophecy and how you are promising to bring the kingdom. How you are also the embodiment of true righteousness. How you truly obey God. And now you're going to go to the cross. I want to follow you. You are beautiful. Even though in reality, we all know Jesus is very ugly. Okay, Isaiah 53 makes it clear if you want to read it. He's a very ugly man. He's a Jew. He's very short. He's like, if he's your friend, he's probably shorter than you. But you see Jesus as beautiful. It is his actions, his speech, his character. If you read Matthew by now, the only thing you should be saying is, Jesus, you're the only one I want to follow. You are peak. The biggest problem with disciples is that their eyes, their sight, their perception are still not changed. They don't see Jesus as peak. They are still fascinated. The physical things, by the fleshy things, by the temple building. Sure, they're impressive, but Jesus is more impressive than them. Jesus can create new creation, new human beings. But the worst part is they still don't get Jesus at all. They don't get how big Jesus is, even after all that Jesus has taught and shown them. Watch out for that. So one way to tell whether you have been learning from the scriptures is, even today, what do you still love? What are you still amazed by? Are you like the disciples, constantly just being very blurred, looking at everything, wow, very amazing, wow, then you just suddenly forget Jesus? Yeah, I have this illustration. I don't know whether it works. Some of you love football. I'm personally not that great a fan of football, but I know football, during football time, everybody's crazy. I have friends who, even though he has work, still wakes up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, watches until 6 o'clock, something like crazy, and then it's just crazy. When they see, they're always amazed by the footballers. Messi, Messi is old. I'm not sure what the new one is. I'm so sorry, but you're just amazed by the game, by the skill, by everybody. But if you really understood the scriptures, again, what would it mean if you looked at the game through the scriptures lenses? Okay, if you really looked at your favorite player through the scriptures lenses, how should you actually be responding? Should you be like disciples? Oh, so amazing, I mean, I'm not saying you can't be amazed, but if you're amazed at that, you should be amazed even more at Jesus. If you wake up at 3 o'clock to watch your favorite game, what should you be willing even more so to do for Jesus? And the Bible is with you 24 hours. You have access to him, you know him, you should be reading every day, knowing him, learning to be like him. Is that you? If you're not, then I think you're doing in great injustice. I think there's a hypocrisy in you where you love football more than you love Jesus, even though you say you love Jesus. If you're truly a Jesus fan, you go back to what you used to love, football, you look at it through the lenses of scriptures, you'll be saying, bunch of sinners. Okay, maybe that's too mean, but you'll probably be saying, oh, this is amazing display of God's gifts, but now that I'm Christian, now that I understand what Jesus is saying, Jesus is peak. I think my worry for these people is that they don't know Christ. My worry for everybody watching this football, for who's doing everything that they love, that they don't know Christ and they need to preach the gospel. I need to go there and preach to them, my friends. And that should be the lens we should have in viewing things. We should be looking at things. We should be changing what we love, our attitude, from being changed by the scriptures, by falling in love with Jesus. How can disciples be fascinated by the temple after what Jesus has just taught, after they know who Jesus is? It is them again repeating a perfect embodiment of hypocrisy, corruption. You say you love Jesus, but actually deep down you don't. You still think you're okay. You still think this temple is okay. You should be burning down this temple. And what's more, Jesus is much more beautiful than this temple. This temple looks good, but it's creating hypocrites. He's creating sons of the devil. Jesus doesn't look fancy, but he is the one who's truly producing sons of God. Even though he's not handsome, even though he says really offensive things, but he should be what you think is peak. Everything, every word here, as you read Jesus, you should be falling in love with Jesus and following him. That's what should be going on. Hey, you guys know this. Don't just look at things on the outside, but look at things on the inside and fall in love with Jesus. So for guys, who would you choose? Pretty girl, non-Christian, or average girl, not that pretty, short, but knows her Bible. It's godly. If a guy's a bit hard, guys always like, no, cannot be the pretty girl and godly if you had to choose. Girls, the same for you also. Some of you complain. I find a perfect guy. But what is perfection? Perfection is this. All guys, all girls are terrible. No matter how pretty this girl is, they're all sinners, they're all sinful, they're all narcissistic, they all care about themselves. Everybody is terrible, including myself. If you really understood Jesus, the way you'd be looking at the world relationship is everybody is terrible. But the one who is pretty, the one who is good, is the one who is belonging to Christ. Because Christ is the perfect one. Here's a tip for marriage. If you really understand what Jesus is saying, what is truly beautiful is the one who follows Christ, the one who knows Christ, because Christ is beautiful. Marry, date a person who is following Christ, because who you really want is someone who is of Christ. Don't marry the girl for looks. Marry the girl for Christ. Don't marry the guy for looks. Marry the guy who follows Christ. Then you will have marriage. Coming back to verse 2. This is how Jesus answers them. You see all these, do you not? Truly I say to you. Okay. Something happened. Sorry, just technical problem. Truly I say to you, there will not be left here one stone upon another that will be thrown down. So look at the temple. When Jesus says this, well, again, I know the temple is not particularly something you guys feel emotional about, but you have to enter the world of a Jew. For the Jew, the temple is basically the dwelling place of God. It is the greatest creation of the Jews to have God there. And Jesus is saying, look at this, right? In the end, there will be no stone here that will be not thrown down. Basically, is basically saying when Jesus is gonna destroy it, and by the time Jesus is done with it, it's all gonna be in crumbles. Everything here that you see is impressive. It's gonna be destroyed. And when he says here, there will be not left here. There will not be left here one stone upon another. It's basically saying, because the stone to create these temples itself is massive and beautiful, it says it will be completely destroyed. No, even not remnant at all. So this supposedly, the next one is a picture of what it's supposed to look like now. I know it's not a perfect fulfillment. It's not supposed to be one stone upon the other, but it's basically gone already. You have to get the emotion of Jesus. They're saying, "Oh, Jesus, this is so amazing." Jesus say, "I'm going to completely destroy this because of how corrupt it is and because how messed up it is." Now, verse 3 is very important to understand. The disciples question, what's underneath it? Usually when we read verse 3, we read it as a very neutral question. As he sat on the Mount of Olives, disciples came to him privately saying, "Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of age?" Okay, the problem of reading and understanding the rest of the passage begins here. If you read this neutrally, you'll completely misunderstand whatever Jesus is saying. You will be, if you read this as just mechanically, or Jesus, they're asking Jesus about what time and when, and Jesus answering them what time and when. If you read this, you will not understand Jesus' response, especially the first response Jesus gives, which is beware. You're like, Jesus is not answering my question. So that's already a problem. And whenever you read these questions, you got to read in context in mind also. By this point, you should be understanding it along with what disciples just said and really work out what is the question behind this question so that Jesus responds the way he does. Okay, so don't read it as an innocent question. Here's a question for you lah. What do you think disciples mean here? So I'll put you the passage together in context, 24, 1 to 3. Okay, in light of this, what do you think that question means? Do you remember what they did in 24 verse 1? He's going away, and they're like, "Oh, the building is amazing." Then Jesus says, "I'm going to completely destroy it." How do you read verse 3? What are they really asking? Any thoughts? Okay, so when you do that, that's a neutral question. So Ryan said, "Where will you destroy?" That's a neutral question. It's almost like, it's almost like you didn't read 24 verse 1 and 2. Okay, if you read 24 verse 1 and 2, remember their hypocrisy, their blurriness, actually you gotta read 24 verse 1. Like, what is going on here? Why are they responding this way? And how does that come out in verse 3? Anyone else wants to give it a try? when I can last minute give it to all of them. I don't understand that. I don't get it, Chinese. Uh, how many? Okay, I guess you could read that way. That's like basically bimbo lah. If you read that, then it's like so bimbo, disciple. When do I need to be ready so I can be ready? Generation is saying they're trying to cheat the system. What system to cheat? I guess some of you maybe a bit closer. Yeah. How can I be ready? Getting closer. You're a bit more sinister now. Which is a healthy thing to do when it comes to disciples and yourself. Basically, this should be the right attitude that you should have with yourself. Every question you ask, and comes to sinners. What is the question behind your question? What are you trying to ask? Disciples are not blur. Disciples are, I don't think they're bimbo. There's dangerous lurking sin inside. Let me pair them up for you with Matthew 18 verse 1, and you see how to read it a bit more. So if you remember Matthew 18 verse 1, you read that back here, what do you get? Part of getting this right is understanding the context. So for Jesus to say, I'm going to destroy this temple, Jesus doesn't say that explicitly here, but that's the implication. It's a sacrilegious thing. So again, the context is helpful. Just Jesus is saying this temple that they marvel at, and they're marveling not just because it's pretty, but because for them, this really is fit to display God's glory. If you remember the temple, it's gold, all that. The whole architecture is displaying the holiness of God. And when you go there, you really, if you've ever been to, those kind of mega churches or those like mega churches, maybe not the best. Sometimes, usually Roman Catholic churches do this very well. You go in there, you feel like, wow, is this some spiritual presence? And have you guys had that experience? You go in there, this amazing relic. Usually those old churches, stained glass windows, Anglican churches, some of them. You go there, it just got like pipe organs. You just feel, and they play the pipe organ. You're like, wow, I feel God's voice here. I feel God's presence. You guys can understand that. And then the disciples are amazed. And when Jesus says that all these are useless, I'm going to spit it out. I'm going to destroy that. As a disciple, naturally, you should feel very shocked and horrified. Especially since they were so enthusiastic or so like ogling about the temple in the first place. Then now they come to Jesus and they suddenly switch their tone. We're gonna ask what's going on here. If you pair it with Matthew 18, I think it'll be helpful. Again, disciples in Matthew 18, and that time disciples came to him. Who is the greatest? Jesus, after Jesus says, I'm going to go to my death, Jesus says, oh, so who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And you remember why, right? Because they're thinking of who's going to be Jesus' successor, who's going to be the next in line to inherit Jesus' power. And so here, most likely, what's going on is the same. They're asking Jesus, since Jesus says, I'm going to, and destroying this temple is a huge statement. It's basically saying, I'm destroying the old regime, the old institution. And by implications, they understand it as, oh, Jesus is going to become, you're going to take over, you're going to destroy this temple, you're going to become king. So immediately they're asking, hey, when will this happen? There's the same impulse as Matthew 18, verse 1. Tell us, when will these things be? What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Now, I need you to slowly get into this zone and think. What's their mindset here? Wanting to be great? What are they looking for when they're asking that question? And if this is a test for you, if they truly understood what Jesus has been teaching them about what it means to be a Christian, what question? Well, not so much what question. What do you think is problematic about their question? Right? If they've really understood what Christianity is about, based on what Jesus taught them, what is deeply problematic about their question? Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Jesus, when will these things be? What will be the sign of your coming? So notice the coming and the end of the age. They're thinking, I want to inherit the kingdom. So they haven't moved very far from Peter, from John and James, where they want to sit beside Jesus, right and left. Assuming the disciples haven't changed in their blurredness or fleshiness, chapter 24, verse 3 is not ultimately asking for when. They're not asking for data. They're not asking when for the sake of data, so that's the last thing you should read it as. Remember that Jesus just said to destroy their temple. It's very sacrilegious. Destroying the hopes and dreams of the Jews. And so they're thinking here of Jesus making a statement that he will become king. So they're thinking of glory again. It's what they've been thinking about since before, since ever. When will these things be? What will be the sign? And when will be the end of the age? Now, just to help you understand a little bit also this sign of Jesus coming. So this reference is taken, the Jesus coming is taken from Daniel 7. So the phrase there, I said, okay, yeah, we got it. So I saw in night vision just now, you read it already. But here, the coming here takes from verse 13. The idea of the Son of Man coming to inherit the rule given by God. So there came one like a Son of Man, and he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion. So when they ask, when is the sign of your coming? They're not thinking. So again, remember, the disciples still don't understand Jesus is going to die and resurrect and second coming. So again, this is another misreading of it. You impose your own thinking to it if you think they're asking for second coming, because first of all, they don't really even appreciate the first Jesus dying. So the second, Jesus coming here refers primarily to his exaltation and enthronement as king. So when they're asking when will your coming be, he's not literally thinking about just dying and coming back. They're thinking, when will you become king, inherit the kingdom of God, and become ruler? That's what they're referring to. So here's a slide from France that helps you understand this a little bit more in its context. Okay, the coming of the Son of Man is thus not a description of a particular historical event, but evocative language to depict his eventual vindication and sovereign authority. As such, it can be applied to different stages in the outworking of Jesus' mission. In 28 verse 18, the echo of Daniel 7:14. So this is chapter 28. Is commissioned already. But if you look at some of these verses, you find that Jesus talks about his coming a few times, and it doesn't always refer to his second coming, but it always refers to his enthronement, his kingship being displayed. That's the main point I want to show from you. If you really want, you can take a look at chapter 16:28, 24:34, and 6:64 just to test it out. Okay, but here, just want to make the point, the coming here refers to Daniel 7, his enthronement and inheriting of dominion. So that's what the disciples were asking for. Not necessarily his second coming, since it's uncertain where they've got it at this point, but of his exaltation, which in Jewish history is together with the end times. Okay, so now I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to draw something for you. You understand. What's going on? Can't move things properly. Sorry, guys. Technical issue. It's the first time I'm trying this out. Oh, okay, cool. It works now. Right, so just to help you understand the Jewish mindset of things, and the Jewish mindset is actually quite common even for us. So we call this the Jewish eschatology. Let me just write this down. What is going on? Yeah, I did. Right, it has to keep on popping out. Okay. Jewish eschatology. Okay, eschatology means thinking about end times, okay? So this is how a typical Jew thinks, and this is how we normally think also. If assuming this is a line, this is referring to the old age. Old age, where in this case, sin still rules, and God still rules. The Jewish mindset is once the Messiah comes, he will usher in the new age where God rules. But this is the Jewish perception of how the end times will come. Now, how does the Christian think about time? So this is what they are thinking. They're thinking very linearly. Jesus coming, and he will take away all suffering, usher in the golden age. Now that is not the Christian eschatology. There's not. Once you understand what I'm giving you this framework first, so you understand what Jesus is saying, and we'll refer to it later on. So Christian eschatology is very different from the Jewish eschatology. It is more. Some of you have seen this diagram before. It is more a now and not yet. So this is old age. This is the new age. And what we have, this is us, the sin. Jesus comes here, so this is Christ coming down. That's Christ. Christ comes, bringing the new age in. Christ brings in the new age. The new age invades the old, but it overlaps with the old. So what we call here the overlap of the ages. This is Christian eschatology. When Christ comes, he's going to bring his kingdom in. He's going to start saving his people. So he's going to start saving his people. This is Jesus and his people saved in him. They're going to bring him into his kingdom. But in this period of time, these God's people are still living in the overlap of ages. So they will still be struggling with old age. Means what it looks like to live here in this middle point is, for Christians, Christ now is king, but sin still is active. Satan is still active. So in this overlap of ages, Jesus Christ is the ruler, but sin and Satan still are active and are around. Satan is no longer ruler. But what this means for the Christian, so this is the Christian eschatology. What's happening now when Christ has returned? Christians, because they are following Jesus, and yet in a world that's still sinful and Satan still lurks around, Christians will suffer as they serve God, as they serve Christ. This is Christian eschatology. So can you see the difference? The Jewish eschatology is very linear. Jesus comes, make my life better. Christian eschatology is a bit different. Christ comes, he saves me to serve him, and now in the overlap of ages, I will struggle, I will suffer, I will face persecution because now I belong to Jesus, not of this world, and so the world will be against me. And part of what it means to be Christian, and the key to being Christian, is that I joyfully serve God in this world. I get persecuted, but I don't retaliate, I don't sin. I continue to show my Christ-likeness in this sinful world by loving God, loving his people, until Christ returns and vindicates me and judges the world. This is the Jewish eschatology. This is the Jewish mindset, the disciples. They're thinking, Jesus, when can I come and be glorified? The Christian mindset is this: Jesus, when can I now learn to serve you properly in this world, even in suffering? Okay? Can you see the difference between the two mindsets of a Christian, two mindsets, two different worldview? The Jewish mindset is to some extent triumphalistic, and it can be quite self-serving, self-indulgent. Just, I want you to come and now everything be fine. The Christian mindset is very different. He understands that Jesus coming is to save me from sin, so that I can serve Jesus and to be like Jesus in a world where even as I suffer, the good news is I can be serving like Jesus. This is why the disciples, what's underlying that question is a problem. They're thinking, Jesus, when is that going to happen so that I can now be in glory? Whereas Jesus as you can see in his reply, he's saying, my coming is to make you servants. The most important thing now for you to be and to live is to be servants of Christ until I return again. The most important question is not when I come back. The most important question for you is how can I serve others whilst I wait for you to return. Okay, I've given you the summary. Let me back first. We'll come back here again later. So when you look at chapter, so again, verse 3 is key. How you read verse 3, you must read it. Already, if you read verse 3, if you understand that this is not a neutral question, then you can better understand Jesus' reply. Jesus is not going to answer that question neutrally. This is why Jesus doesn't just tell them. And that explains to you, and that's the framework you should have to read to make sense of the rest of the verses. Jesus is not going to answer them neutrally in terms of information about timing. What he is going to do is everything he's saying here is correcting their mindset. This is why the end goal of this section is not in when. So as you get through the details, your safety is go to 24:45 all the way to 25, chapter 25. Okay, so I'm just going to read this passage for you, but this is the end goal. This is the safety. Jesus is not giving them an answer the way they want to. Jesus is correcting their sinful mindset by ending here. Who then is the faithful and wise servant? Jesus is saying, this is how you should be thinking. Not, Jesus, when can I be glorified? Rather, Jesus, how can I continue to serve you whilst enduring persecution and suffering and waiting for you to return? That's why Jesus ends here. Who then is the faithful and wise servant whom his master has set over his household to give them their proper food at the proper time? Blessed is the servant whom his masters will find so doing when he comes. The true mindset of a Christian, as a servant, is one who happily serves. So this is what Jesus has been teaching. Who is the greatest of them all? The one who is a nobody. The one who understands that what it means to be greatest is to be like God, to be serving, to be loving, doesn't consider himself as anything worth deserving of praise, but is willing to humble himself to always be serving, just like God is. The generous father who is willing to help and love to build people up. This is what it means to be Christian. That you can be a servant to God and to man, even in a sinful world. You can die to sin. You can live to God. That you can be a faithful and wise servant, even in times of persecution and difficulty. Who is the faithful and wise servant? Basically, blessed is the servant who is continuing to be a servant even when Jesus comes back 2,000 years later. Truly I say to you, he will set him over all his possessions. But if that wicked servant says to himself, my master is delayed, and he wants to live life by himself, for himself, he doesn't see serving God as joy. He doesn't see being Christian, being like Christ, as joy. He thinks that life is about himself and his joy, and begins to beat his fellow servants and eats and drinks with drunkards. The master of the servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and put him with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This is the point that Jesus wants to make. And the point that Jesus wants to make to us. The question of when Jesus is coming back, when can I be glorified? Jesus is saying the definition of being Christian life is powerful in service. You don't need to wait for Jesus to come back. Already you can live that life now. In fact, to some extent, this life is the best time to live because you get to get tested and you get to really prove the power of Christ working in you. Really see it and have joy in it. Once you're in heaven, there's no really test anymore. This is the best time. Really live out that Christian powerful life on earth. Life now is defined as serving others and pleasing God by doing so. This is what we've been saved to do, to be able to fulfill God's power in us in Christ by being a servant to others. Now, if you get this, you get these 2 chapters already. That's the main point. It's not about timing. It's about knowing who you are and knowing what God expects us to be as before Christ returns. I can't finish the whole 2 chapters, but this is the crux of it. It's the same message Jesus has been teaching since chapter 18 on greatness. It's the message that they need to keep at heart before Jesus leaves and goes to the cross. It doesn't matter when Jesus returns. Jesus later will say, I don't know. And you have to read that properly. Jesus is saying, I don't even know. And he's comfortable doing that. This reminds you of, I think it was chapter 19, where Jesus also says, it's not mine to give to you. So James and John are asking, let me sit right and left. But Jesus says, it's not mine to decide. I'm happy being a servant. That's what it means to be truly godlike at the highest level, at the peak level, that you don't consider being godlike anything to be grasped, but you are willing to serve. It doesn't matter when Jesus returns. What matters is becoming like Christ. What matters is faithfulness in serving God, loving others, in always sacrificing yourself to love others. Is being a nobody, being a slave to others. That for many people looks like a low grade kind of duty, but in God's eyes, that is the highest level of humanity, peak humanity. What matters is you being like Christ, loving others, being a servant to others. Jesus will return at an hour that he doesn't even know, doesn't bother him, because he's happy being servant to God the Father. That's the joy and power of Christianity. So 24 verse 36, he says, but concerning that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, because we're all just happy being servants, but the Father only. For as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day when Noah entered the ark, and they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. So the application here is verse 42 and 44. Stay awake. Be servants. I'll explain. I'll land here. I'll cover this again. But here you can see being Christian is about being servants of God, as the Son is. So when you read this passage, don't do the exact opposite of what this text explicitly tells us, which many people have done to this text, which is to use this passage and to find out when Christ returns, so that they can, some of you have said it, cheat the code lah, so that they can only be Christian the last minute lah, so that they can do all kinds of weird things and then mess life up. Look, the main thing about being Christian is not knowing when Jesus is coming back. It's about being servant, true and true. When Jesus comes back, he sees you servant. That's when you enter the joy of the Father. Any interpretation that leads you into finding out when he's coming back leads you is a skewing of reading, a skew reading of the text. Usually the tricky part, exegetically, of this passage is these two verses, 24 verse 29. So I'm going to show you the tricky part. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened. So most people will be like, hey, I must look for the tribulation of those days. And because it says immediately. So once we figure out when the tribulation of those days come, then Jesus will come back. So then we kind of figure it out. But I've already shown you already. That's not the framing of this passage. When you read that, it cannot mean Jesus telling you when he's coming back. Also, the other passage is chapter 24, verse 32. From the fig tree, learn its lesson. As soon as its branches become tender and put out its leaf, you know the summer is near. So again, a lot of people read this passage again. Ironically, they read this, and I suppose you could on a surface reading. So therefore, you can really read context. If you just read it as it sounds like Jesus is encouraging you to find out when he's coming back, right? You look at it, it's like, oh, as soon as its branches become tender, you say, oh, you must tell the signs. If you tell the signs, then you know it's coming near, and then you can follow Jesus. Again, that on the surface looks like it, but that's a wrong reading. So when it comes to reading the Bible, you must read very carefully. Don't just read individual verses, read it in context to really get what's going on. So the question for us is, how do we read this passage? How do these verses reinforce the idea that we should be servants? Okay? All right. Now, with this framing in mind, let's go to verse 4 and let's understand this properly. This is why Jesus, if you get this right, then you understand verse 4's reply. See that no one leads you astray. They're asking, Jesus, when? Jesus says, don't be stupid. That's not what he's saying. You are looking for glory. You better repent. Don't, because of that self-preserving, self-loving mindset, go and follow the wrong person. Let no one lead you astray. Many people will come and promise you salvation is here, salvation is here. Many people will come and promise you Christian life is a good life, it's a best life. And they would, so this is how you must read it, okay? Even though it doesn't say explicitly, but in application to us, many people will promise you salvation, quote unquote, a best life now, a good life, triumphant life, no suffering, no worry. See that no one leads you astray, because that's not a definition of being Christian. As I've taught you from chapters 1 all the way to chapters 24, 25, right now, being Christian is about being a servant. Anybody that teaches you otherwise is a false Messiah, and that is not salvation. Salvation is found in being like Jesus. Salvation is found in Jesus and being like him, becoming in his likeness, completely being other-centered, loving them, becoming like God. That's essentially the message in verse 4, starting from verse 4. Don't be stupid and follow your heart. When he says don't let anyone lead you astray, he's essentially saying don't follow your heart, please. Because your heart is the one that leads you to stray away. Your heart that desires glory, your heart that desires instant gratification, your heart that desires what you want instead of putting to death yourself, being like a servant to God. Notice Jesus' responses to that question. This is another clue that Jesus answering the question behind the question. Next time you must learn from Jesus how to answer people's question. Don't answer them straight away. Answer the question behind the question and don't be stupid. Okay? Don't be led astray, please. Don't follow your impulses, please. I know what you're asking. When they're asking, Jesus, when can I become a king? Jesus says, don't let people lead you astray, because I know they will. So back to reply, 24 verse 4, let's read the whole thing. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ. Okay, when you read this, how are you going to apply it today? Today, I mean, there are still people going around calling themselves Messiah. Very rarely, they are usually the African prophets and all that. So usually, it's not that big of an issue. But if you transpose it to us, it's the same thing. The key is don't be led astray from the path of Christianity that you've learned. About being the greatest is about following Jesus, being a servant of him. Many will come and give you alternative versions of Christianity. Many people will come and give you alternative path to salvation. If you follow this give you a better life. I've said it already. They will lead many astray. Verse 6, the context of Christianity. Now, just now, you remember the diagram I showed you. The context of Christianity is one now that sin is still ruling and we will struggle. And that's why verse 6 is happening. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, because as I showed you in Christian eschatology, the sin is still around. Satan is still around. This is normal. As you become a disciple, as Christ has brought his rule, you can now become a disciple. Don't be surprised by wars, because the Satan is still around. This must take place, but the end is not here yet. So verse 4 and 5 is basically saying what I've said already, being Christian is about being nobody for Christ. And when you look at wars, verse 6, so a lot of people are like, oh, war's coming. America, war. Jesus coming back. Dude, he's saying the opposite. He's saying, dude, these things are normal. Doesn't mean Jesus coming back. In fact, verse 8 says, dude, this is just beginning, okay? Don't go like America war, that war, that war, that war, Trump war, oh, Jesus coming back. I don't know whether you guys been taught this or are familiar with this, but once in a while, I especially I go to certain churches, certain people talk to me, hey, you know about the war, right? What's your opinion? They always ask, means Jesus coming back, right? First of all, does it matter? Does it change the way you should live? And number two, Bible says it's just the beginning. Now, okay, I do want to say sometimes people are like, it's 2,000 years already. How can it still be the beginning? Now, I understand that, and Jesus is coming back closer. But the point is that wars, if you understand the diagram that I showed you just now, wars are normal. Okay, maybe I can refer back to that again. Let me share screen and describe that a little bit more, just to help you understand. Okay. Okay, so we've said already, in this overlap of ages, sin is still ruling. And so wars, I'll explain to you more soon in Daniel 7, but it's supposed to be expected because sin is still around. Okay, sin is still active. Satan is still active. It says here, don't be surprised, war and rumors of war will happen. When you think about it, the Trump war lah, America lah, all that lah, essentially it's just basically people wanting what they want and people caring about what they care about. People not really caring, loving people, Hamas, all that. It's just sin. Okay? It's very terrible effects of sin. But that's part of living in this old age, before Christ returns and conquers it all. That's not surprising. War is just part of human sin. All these are but the beginning of the birth pains. This is part of what was prophesied already in Daniel 7. So Daniel 7 we read today, and it's very important. I need to go through Daniel 7 with you now. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's make this away. Yes, I can. This is the background to understanding Jesus saying here is in Daniel 7. Daniel 7 promises before the Messiah comes, there will be a long period of evil working, and God is the one in control of all this as part of judgment to his own people and also the means to bring about salvation. So let me read this. I know that Douglas read it, so I'll go very quickly. But here, just very quickly, the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, saw dreams and visions, and he saw the vision. So here you have 4 great beasts. First thing to notice is in this vision, beasts, and these beasts you will eventually find out these are really crazy beasts. These beasts represent kings, Gentile kings here. Gentile, ungodly kings that will rule the world. The reason why beasts are used to symbolize them is because they're basically saying that these kings are not human. They are ugly beasts. They follow their desires. Okay, 4 great beasts. These are Gentile, non-Christian kings that will come about and from the sea. So you guys need to know the Jews they look at the sea. For the Jews, the sea is negative. They are chaotic. And so anything that comes out of the sea is basically evil. So what we have here is symbolic. There'll be king coming from the sea. They're different. So you have the first one was like a lion and had eagle's wings. So this you must understand this as terrifying. So lions, just think about fierce killers with wings. That means they're fast, agile, they can kill you. It's again symbolic of the powers in the world. And if after that you have the second beast, it's the bear. So again, you have 4 terrible beasts who will so here is another hint. You see, it was told, arise, devour much flesh. As you read these verses, first of all, you ask the question, wait, where are these creatures coming from? And if you read it very carefully, you have the Old Testament understanding in mind. Notice this. You see in the 4 winds of heaven stirring up the great sea. What must you think about when you see 4 winds of heaven? Who is the one creating these creatures? Okay, heaven, all. So already here in the Old Testament has no issue. There's no issues with God being in control of evil. What we see here, again, all things are created by God, even Satan. And so here God is raising up these 4 terrible kings, powerful, terrible, non-Christian kings. Now, why? Now, this one you have to know a bit of Daniel, okay? So you guys need to, so I'm just teaching you scriptures here, but this is part of biblical theology, knowing the whole Bible for itself. When you read the New Testament, you're going to know your Old Testament. So the book of Daniel is written in a time of exile. Means the people of Israel were so sinful beyond belief. They were worshipped. Again, they are a den of robbers. Basically, God has judged them before. So God judged them, exiled them. And so as part of God's judgment upon them, and ironically salvation. So I just want to introduce to you judgment and salvation in for the Bible is usually together. Okay, in fact, judgment is salvation. So first of all, let me explain the simple concept for judgment. In order to judge them, God let non-Christian kings rule over them. so that they cannot enjoy God's blessing, and they must suffer under the Gentile rule. Last time for the Jews to live under Gentile rule is basically curse lah, because you cannot enjoy the blessings of God. So what you have here is God purposely raise up Gentile kings to rule the world, and to rule the world in a very terrible way. Just think about beast-like manner. They follow their urges, desires. They simply rule, not in a human way. They're following desires and just basically making a mess, doing whatever they want. And you can see that very clearly in the fourth beast. Verse 7, okay. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in the horn were eyes, like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Basically, these are ungodly rulers who rule. First point to make. All these rulers are under God. So in application, when in Matthew, when Jesus is saying wars and rumors of wars are bound to happen, he's saying evil is happening, as Daniel 7 predicted. Before the Son of Man comes, there will be evil. And it's part of God's judgment on sinful people, sinful Israel. You don't want God? Okay, let you rule. The world right now is under the rule of evil men, ungodly men. It's part of God's judgment, not just against Israel, but against the world. Okay, for rebelling against Him. And God is in charge of it. So there you need to have these two things in mind. God is in charge. So when you hear war and rumor, it's not like, oh no, God's coming back. It's like, dude, this is God's judgment upon the world, and God raising up evil rulers to rule over it. It's part of the sufferings of a Christian. Now, I also say the second part, which is this judgment is also salvation, because in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, it is usually through these judgments, through us realizing that this world is messed up, through the Jews suffering the judgment under the Gentile rulers, that they learn that salvation cannot be found in man, but in God. So usually these judgments cause them, open up their eyes to see they need to repent, they need to follow God. Okay. Oh yeah, a problem. Yes, got problem. Okay, let me just explain it a bit more. So already in Daniel 7, the worldview of Daniel 7, the theology needs to be imported also into Matthew, and he says wars and rumors of war will come. It's part of that Daniel 7, the kings will rule, and those are under God, and that's part of the suffering we have to go through, that the Christians are going through. But it's a good thing, because those who now turn to God and learn to suffer are hoping in God and are waiting for God to come. So these are people who are fed up with following the world. They are hoping in God, and they turn to become Christians, and they're waiting. You guys done? No, not yet. Okay, I'm still waiting for. Okay, Daniel 7. Never mind, I got my Bible here. Okay, so you guys need your Bible. Till they bring it back, I should use this. Now, as the evils continue to. Oh, okay, we're back. Okay. Verse 9. But there will be a time. So verse 9 talks about a time where after God has let evil rule enough, there will be judgment day. As I looked, thrones were placed. So this suddenly we get into a scene where there's judgment. So initially it was just all the animals, seas, it was chaotic, almost like it was hopeless. But suddenly now you switch to a scene where there were thrones and there were Ancient of Days taking a seat. So this is a courtroom scene now. And you have, of course, the symbolic of God. White hair means wisdom, and then pure wool, fiery flames, judgment. This guy's authority. Its wheels were burning fire, and a stream of fire issued and came out from before him. So again, this is showing his authority, his holiness, his power. Thousand served him. They sat in court for judgment, and the books were open. So this is judgment day now. And I looked then, because of the sound of the great words, that the horn was speaking. So this one is referring back to just now. This one here. And as I looked, the beast was killed. So there will be a day when God, after evil has ruled to the extent that God wants it to, God will judge the beasts, judge the kings, and its body destroyed and given over to be burned with fire. So judgment. Now verse 12 is interesting. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. So this one is alluding possibly to how it's not it this perhaps this is still worth looking into. This whole like, yes, the Satan has been defeated, but his minions are still around. This now and not yet kind of setting, where evil will still be around and we will live with it until the final judgment comes. Here, verse 13 is where so after God kills, and then now here we have the Son of Man. So now this setting, I saw in night visions, and behold, the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented for him. And so the Son of Man, this is contrasting the beasts, okay? He's no beast. In contrast with the earthly kings who live for themselves, God will bring about a true human being. He will come from heaven, and he will go to heaven and be given the crown. So all this is really pointing to Jesus Christ, the Messiah, who is both God, coming down as man now, to receive dominion over the kingdom of the people. And his dominion will be an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom will be one that shall not be destroyed. So already here we have the vision of God. There will be a time where God will judge. He will use evil rulers to continue to judge, but through that judgment also bring about a yearning for God's king to come. And as God's people continue to yearn from him, finally there will be a point where God will bring his king, Jesus Christ, to come and be the final judge of all the evil that has been caused in this world, and he will execute judgment now on earth. That is the promise. And verse 18, when you read it, the Son of Man will be the representative of the saints of the Most High. So notice the Son of Man will receive the kingdom, right? And as the Son of Man receives the kingdom, the saints of the Most High, these are the people, shall also receive the kingdom. But before that happens, let's see, where is it? Here, verse 21 to 22. Verse 21. There will be a time where the beasts, the horns will wage war with the saints and prevail over them. So this is the time. If you want to draw the diagram, alluding to the time where the beast will still rule over us. Even now, even as Christ is again, this is not a perfect image, but even as Christ has come, there will be an overlapping of this rule. So what we have here is it looks forward to the saints. They will struggle, they will be ruled over, and they will be protected by God, but also this protection causes them to yearn for Christ and to learn to trust in Christ until the final day comes. Judgment was given for the saints because judgment, so this is the final day, and there will be a time of struggling until Christ returns again and completely rule over animals, bring salvation and rule saints of the Most High. Now this is helpful for you to keep in mind as you read Matthew, the worldview. Okay, so this diagram is helpful. Jesus teaching that. Right, coming back to Matthew. So that's why when you go back to Matthew 24, now verse 9, remember he talks about wars and continue. Then verse 24, verse 9, he continues to write. They will deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death. So this is again the saints waging war against the evil kings or evil people, the evil world. And you will suffer. Firstly, this is a good thing because This is both a good and a bad thing. I mean, the bad thing is suffering, but the good thing is that you are now belonging to God. You stand with God, and you stand by God. This is a sign that you are now no longer of the world, and the world hates you. The world deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. Remember, the Beatitude talks about this also. And then many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another, and many false prophets will arise and lead many astray. This will be a difficult time for Christians because it will be the overlap of the ages. Christians will slowly, or people will become Christians. They will belong to God, but the old age, sin, and also Satan's minions will continue to fight. It'll be a difficult time for Christians. Christians will be led astray because sometimes it's just too hard to become Christians. They want it. Well, in this case, it's not that Christians led astray, but they're exposed. I remember. So as you read this, you must put together also the four soils, the parable of the four soils. Those who say they are Christians will finally be revealed. Some people will give up Christianity because it's too hard. Some people will be led astray by false messiahs for other versions of Christianity. Some people, verse 12, their love will grow cold. Verse 12. They initially loved like soil 2 and soil 3, but eventually, because it was too hard, they grow cold. But verse 13, soil 4. The one who endures to the end will be saved, and this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will. There will be a time of testing for the Christians, even as God continues to let evil rule, or at least let evil continue to work in this time of now and not yet. The purpose of this is partly as a judgment to human beings, to his people, but also as a means to save those who belong to him, for them to finally yearn for God, and as a means to train them up to be truly God's people. As God saves them, as God puts them under pressure, they continue to shine. Those who belong to God, you put under this pressure, you continue to become even more of God's people, you continue to shine. Verse 13, the one who endures to the end will be saved. The way God saves us today is by giving us Christ and now refining us so that we will be shown that we truly belong to Christ. And verse 14 is the sign. So 13 and 14 are put together very importantly. Verse 14 is the evidence of verse 13. Okay, you look at it. Verse 14 is the evidence of verse 13. The person who endures, what is the sign of their endurance? He looks at verse 14. Bringing the gospel to the whole world. Okay, last time I used to misunderstand this verse and I used to be taught wrongly. People keep telling me, oh, we must evangelize so that we can, once the gospel goes to everywhere, then Jesus will come back. That's not the point of verse 14. The point is saying the gospel will spread continually in this world by Christians who persevere, verse 13. He's not promising that Jesus will come back once the gospel goes to the whole world. He is saying that the gospel will naturally go to the whole world by Christians who persevere. And this is the sign of true Christianity. This is what you disciples are meant to do as you wait for my return. Not ask when am I going to come back. You should be thinking, how can I continue to serve Christ now by bringing the gospel to everyone? That's why the ending of the parables is those who are faithful. Who is the faithful? Servant. The ones who love God's people, who bring the gospel. Nations, who build up the gospel. And once the Christians continue to do so, bring the gospel everywhere, when the time comes, Jesus will return and the end will come. The end will come where God will finally vindicate his servants and put to rest and put to judgment all those who have been persecuting his people and all evil people who have been going against God. This passage is another key verse to appreciate about this passage, verse 13 and 14. Okay? It's not about the timing, it's about verse 13 and 14. Jesus, in other words, when are you coming back? Jesus is saying, not yet. But the one who endures to the end, who brings the gospel to the kingdom, that will be saved. Be my servants. Even I don't know when I'm coming, but I'm serving God. That's a definition of becoming the Son of God. So again, this passage is not a passage to teach you how to bring God back faster. It's a passage that teaches you who you are and what Jesus expects you to be. As he goes to heaven and he now works through you to spread his gospel by his Spirit before he returns. Now, verse 15, therefore, must be understood in light of this. Okay, verse 15. So, verse 15 to 28 talks about the destruction of the Jerusalem temple. But notice the disciples are asking, hey, Jesus, when will you destroy the temple and then bring us to glory? Now, Jesus, the so is very important. Jesus is saying the destruction of Jerusalem will come along with the larger idea of suffering, which you have to endure. And even after Jerusalem is destroyed, you have to keep enduring and keep becoming faithful until I come. Okay, let me say that again. The disciples are all thinking, Jerusalem destroyed already, I can become king. Jesus saying, he gives them a broad framework first. Suffering, they must come, and as long you suffer, the saints also will become revealed, and those who last to the end will be saved. It is within this framework you must understand that Jerusalem will be destroyed. Jerusalem will be destroyed because it's part of the evil that God has unleashed in this world to judge his people and to test his disciples. It is part of a longer run of evil that you must understand, and of which the exhortation to you is be faithful, be faithful, be faithful. Be faithful in this destruction, be faithful after, all the way until Jesus returns. So the so in verse 15 is saying, in light of the larger plan of God, the one who perseveres to the end will be saved, and the gospel will go to the nations. So when you see the abomination of desolation spoken by the prophet standing in the holy place, endure. Essentially, it's saying that keep enduring. Don't be fooled by other people. Because it's going to be tough. Look, this life is going to be very tough for you, for the Jews especially. He says that in verse 22, if you see that, and if those days had not been cut short, no human being would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. It's going to be very tough for you, but the call is the same. Be Christian. Be my servants. Live to die. Live to serve others. Give up your life to serve others, and Christ will return and vindicate you. And keep doing that after the temple has been destroyed. Keep building my church. Go out and preach the gospel. This is what it means to be Christian. To not consider your life as about you, but to consider your life and live your life for God. Now, this helps you, by the way, if you understand this, the details in verse 16 to 21, it gives you another perspective. It gives you something a bit deeper. See, when you read verse 15 to 22, if you just think self-protection, right, you can read this as Jesus telling them, oh, it's going to be very tough, so save yourself, which is part of it. Verse 16, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is on the rooftop, housetop, not go down to take what is in his house, and let the one who is in the field not turn back to take his cloak, because just leave. Is when the Romans come and invade. Basically, what the Romans did was they invaded Jerusalem. They surrounded it for 5 months. Basically, also the people in Jerusalem, they're starving, and in fact, the historical records show that the parents had to eat the children. That was how bad things are. Okay, that was how bad things are. They had no food. When you have no food, you're hungry. What do you do with your newborn? That's how desperate they are. That's part of the context of why Jesus says this that's going to happen to you is part of that evil that Jesus has ordained. Part of it is judging. Remember Jesus saying, I'm going to take away this temple. All of you are terrible people. You think God will please with you? Nope. God's going to use the Gentiles to completely destroy you and save. Through that save those who are faithful. And last, for the women, verse 19, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on Sabbath, for then there'll be great tribulation. This, just give you a little bit more information, this is referring to an event that happened in 167. So show them the photo. So this is the abomination of desolation is actually fulfilled by this guy called Antiochus Epiphanes. He conquered Jerusalem and he desecrated the holy place. He destroyed it, but also before that, he prohibited Jewish sacrificial offering, and then he put on the Jewish burnt offerings an altar for pagan sacrifice. He put there pigs. So pigs are unclean. He just basically desecrated the whole thing. He's saying when this happens, basically it's gone case already. Time to run away. God is here using the pagan nations to destroy Jerusalem as he predicted because of their sinfulness. They are no different from the Gentiles anymore. But even as God is doing this is also God's means. So again, the main message is, as God is doing this, you ought to be faithful, preach the gospel. And that's what you see also when you go back to 24, 15, and 22. You see, notice the words there. Flee to the mountains. Don't turn back to Jerusalem. As God judges Jerusalem, God is using this as a means to get those who belong to him to spread the gospel out. Don't go back to Jerusalem. Destroy it. Don't go back to Jerusalem. Go out. Spread the gospel. Don't turn back. So although, yes, the immediate context is don't turn back because it's terrible, but God is also using this event to tell the Jews, don't go back to old Israel. Go back out. Now you have the Christ, you have the gospel. Go out. Spread the gospel to Gentiles. That's where Acts comes in. That's why it's a bit disappointing when Peter and the disciples are still stuck in Jerusalem and God has to use another event to push them out. Already here, God is moving them away from the old Israel to evangelizing the world with the gospel of Christ. God is exercising his grace here and teaching them what they ought to do, even as he judges the corrupt nation. So chapter 24, 23 to 28, he warns them, I've already told you what it means to be Christian, to bring this gospel of Christ to everywhere. Do not look for alternative religions. Don't look for alternative Christs. Don't be like the disciples. Now do you understand the disciples' problem at the start? The problem is they just don't get that Christianity is about being a servant of God and being like Jesus. They don't see Jesus as peak. They want Christianity to be about them, about their glory. Once you have that mindset, once you secretly still want glory for yourself, you don't enjoy being a servant, you don't like what Jesus is scolding you for, you don't like being scolded by Jesus, you don't like to be shown how sinful you are, you're like the Pharisees, you don't like to struggle with sinfulness, you don't want to be a new creation. You will look for alternative Christ, a Christ that will be false, but it will promise you instant gratification and you will be destroyed along with it. If anyone says to you, look, here is a Christ and there he is, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders. So even they will do great signs and wonders, but so long as they're not telling you the heart of the gospel, which is to obey Jesus, to follow this Jesus, to be a new creation, find joy in it, they are all false Christs. Verse 25, see, I have told you beforehand. So all of you in Solid, Jesus has told you. If you search for any alternative Christ, it's on you now. If they say to you, look, he is in the wilderness, don't go out. Even if they do some massive signs and wonders of wilderness, again, they do special things because Jesus came in the wilderness, right? They're like, they suddenly do this new act again, go to the wilderness. No more. You already know the gospel already. You already know God's revealed word in Christ. You don't need another voice. You don't need new prophets. You don't need people to tell you new things. You have the gospel. You have the sum of God's will for you in Jesus Christ. Obey, joyful in doing so, and you will be received in heaven. Verse 27, for as the lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man. He's saying you don't have to look for alternative Christ. Because when Christ returns, it will be so obvious. Have you guys been in a scene where you see it was thunder lightning, right? You see from afar, lightning strikes very clearly, and it strikes such that everybody can see it. The lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. You don't have to look out for the Son of Man. When he comes, everybody will see it because judgment of evil will be here and your salvation will come. Verse 28, wherever the corpse is, when Jesus comes, there will be corpses lying around. You will see it. It's so obvious. What you need to do is make sure you don't become the corpse. That's essentially what he's saying. So verse 29. Now, how do we understand verse 29 now? So we come back to the tricky verse where it talks about immediately after the tribulation of those days. Now, this one, you have to read carefully. Although verse 29 comes after verse 28, it's tempting to read this as saying right after God destroys Jerusalem, Jesus will come. But that's not the best way of reading it. When you look at 29, the best way to understand the tribulation here, verse 29, it refers back to 7 to 14. Let me draw this out for you again, just to help you understand this a bit better. Okay. Where is... Oh, here. Yeah. Okay, so if I were to help you, this part, this tribulation here, takes you back to verse 7 to 14. Okay, it's talking about this general suffering here. Sorry, skip. Okay, sorry. Takes you back to the tribulation. Talks about the general lawlessness, general difficulty, tribulation. See the word tribulation? It's the same tribulation here. Now, it doesn't refer directly to desolation of Israel because this one is great tribulation. Do you see the difference? This tribulation is referring back to the larger general tribulation that is supposed to span all the way until Jesus returns. There is a specific great tribulation in the larger context. So if you think about it, this is the general tribulation. This one happens from Jesus first coming to the second coming. Okay, there's a general tribulation. Now, when he talks about the great tribulation, it's part of it. So there will be a great tribulation as part of a larger tribulation talked about. And so this is the idea. He says, when a great tribulation comes, don't worry. Jesus is not coming back yet, but make sure you don't get straight away. It's part of the larger tribulation that you have to face. But this one is special because God is judging Israel, destroying it, and it'll be a special suffering. But keep persevering. So once he talks about that, the same message is don't be fooled, don't be taken away, continue to be faithful. And so verse 29 goes back to the general idea again. He goes back to the larger picture here. So verse 27, as lightning comes, so don't look out for false prophets, because you will see the coming of the Son of Man. So, and when he says immediately after the tribulation, he's talking about immediate. So he's now explaining to you how do you what the coming of the Son of Man will look like. It will look like, first of all, immediately after the general tribulation. Immediately after this tribulation we're still going through right now. We're still under that tribulation. Many of you know, I mean, you can feel it, Malaysia, not great. It doesn't always mean like the worst suffering, but tribulation does mean we are suffering as Christians. Malaysia is getting more and more difficult to live as Christians. Some of you know this. Islamization is getting real. At one point, they almost forbid new churches from being built already. That will change, but we're under persecution for sure. But he's saying that after the end of the tribulation, so here immediately is tied to the end of the general tribulation. And this is how you know, or this is what the coming out of the Son of Man looks like. So just now he said it'll be very obvious, and therefore 29 to 31 tells you how obvious it will be. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, so those days refer to that general tribulation, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven. Here the image is basically the whole thing, the whole world will be darkened. The lights will be turned off. And verse 30, it will be as clear as the whole lights turn off, the Son of Man coming with glory and with vengeance. This is how you know the Son of Man comes. Not by people telling you, hey, follow me, follow me. When he comes, it will be so obvious. The whole thing is just going to be changed. Lights turn off, Jesus comes. There appear a sign in heaven of the Son of Man, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn. Everyone on earth will mourn. Some will mourn because they are mourning in regret. I hope you don't belong to that camp. Some will mourn. The Christians will mourn. They mourn in happiness. They'll be mourning because they know that they are sinful, but at the same time, they are saved by grace. The rest of the people will mourn because they haven't responded to God, and they will be judged. And they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven and with power and great glory. And verse 31, he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds. Okay, these angels, remember, in Matthew 16, this is when Jesus, the dialogue that Jesus had with his disciples. He says, when I return with the Father's glory, the angels, I will come and save you also and judge the rest. So that's the angels. This is why I know that this is referring not ultimately to just the Jerusalem's destruction, but it's general desolation. So the angels will come with a loud trumpet call, final call, and he will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to other. That's how you should read verse 32. Can you see? From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts out its leaves, you know summer is coming. So he's saying here, he's not saying, look out for when Jesus is coming back. He's saying, can you tell? Tribulation, general tribulation, is a sign that Jesus is going to come back. And you're called to be faithful. You don't have to look for special signs or, oh, Jesus is coming back specially. No, the whole thing is going to be tribulation. And as long as you're in tribulation, Jesus is on his way back, and you are called to respond to the sign by repenting and following Jesus and becoming a light. When you see all these things, you know that he is near. He's always near. The near is not saying not talking about, oh, he's coming back in how many years' time. The near is he's always near, coming back. It's part of his plan. And you must be faithful. That's why verse 45 onwards says you must be faithful. Verse 34, this generation refers specifically to the disciples. So don't worry about this. Verse 34, some people say, but it says this generation. So this generation will not pass away until all these things. All these things don't refer to Jesus' return, okay? It's a bit tautologous if it's all these things take place. All these things refer to verse 4 to 28. Okay, it goes back here. It refers to all this all the way before. So this generation, the disciples' generation will see all these things. It doesn't mean that you'll come to the end, but you will see the temple being destroyed, and you'll be facing persecution. But at the same time, you'll also see God's grace working through saving his people and the gospel spreading. All these things will take place, and heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. So verse 36 now we come to the application. This is where Jesus finally answers that question. After Jesus gets them to understand it's about being a servant, then he says, he answers them, I just don't know when I'm coming back. That's okay. What you do need to do is to make sure you're always ready. Make sure that, I can stop sharing that slide. The key idea is don't be unaware. Now that you know, now that I've said this to you, actually basically Jesus is saying I shouldn't have to say this to you, but now that I'm saying it, make sure that you're faithful. Don't get caught off guard. Don't be like the days of Noah, where people ate and drank, marry and give in marriage. They lived again according to their wills, according to their desires. Remember the problem of the disciples? Very dangerously hypocrites. Make sure you are not like them, live for yourself, and not as servants of God. Verse 39, they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. Actually, it's not true that they were not aware. Noah told them, Noah preached to them, but they refused to know. So the unaware, don't think about it as they blur. Think about it as stubborn. Until the flood came and swept them all away, so will the coming of the Son of Man. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and one left. The 2 women will be grinding at the mill. So this is all imagery of suddenness. Suddenly, God will come. You will not know. Verse 42, stay awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known in what part of the night he was coming, he would have stayed awake and would not have let his house be broken. Therefore, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. So then he goes to verse 45. What does it mean to be ready? To be a servant. To be a faithful, not just faithful, but the faithful and wise servant. So wiser indicates he knows what God has said. His life is, the way he lives is based on scripture. He is wise in God's word. Who is the faithful and the wise servant? Is the one who is serving. The one, when the master comes back, he is serving because he's always been serving. He knows God's way, he knows God's will, and he enjoys God's will. Now, I'm going to skip now to the parable that I want to end on, the parable of the talents. Verse 20, chapter 25, 14 to 30. Now, this is a good passage to end on because it tells you what the servant looks like, the servant that belongs to God looks like. And the answer is one who enjoys God, being God's servant. Let me read to you this parable. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. That's Jesus to us. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1. Now, is this unfair? It's not unfair because it's according to his ability. Okay, this is fairness. Then he went away, and he who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also, he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. So according to ability, people get more. I mean, the one who has more, he will do more, and you see this happening. But verse 18, he who had received 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here, I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. So notice, this is just a little only. For God, this is just little. If you can do a little, in heaven you will do much more. I will set you over much more. And this next phrase is important. Enter into the joy of your master. This sentence captures for us what it's all about. What it looks like to be a servant. It is one who is joyful in doing the master's will. Enter the joy of your master. Master is joyful in creating more things, in producing more to develop his land. Come and be a servant. Enter the joy as the master is happy in helping you grow and letting you grow his fields and using you and working with you to grow his field. You need to be happy that he's happy and then working with him. And the joy of the master, basically a time of joyful service. And he also he who also had 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you delivered me 2 talents. Here I made 2 talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. So same. Notice the master doesn't have favoritism. He doesn't do doesn't specially favor. The same line is used for the second servant also. You have little, but that's fine. Good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Same results. Enter into the joy of your master. Now, verse 24. He who had received the 1 talent came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man. Now, I need you to imagine this. You guys got to think about this. Think about the words he's saying and the reality. And think about what kind of person is this. Person who goes to the master is, I knew you are a hard man, reaping what you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. Now, on paper, he's basically saying this is what it's called again. What the Gen Zs call this is basically victimizing himself. Okay, this is victimizing. This is your fault. It's Gen Zs who paradigmatically or not just Gen Zs but everybody who you don't want to work, you complain. It's their fault. It's your fault. You ask me to do the impossible. You in this case, I knew you're a wicked person. I don't want to help you in your wickedness, so I hid it and then give it back to you. Now, on paper, if you just believe him, I suppose it sounds reasonable, but it's completely, it's completely fake. First of all, he gave you a talent. What are you talking about? He gave you and he wants to reward you after that. So basically, you can tell this person is completely just he's not telling the truth. He is being narcissistic. At the end of the day, he is exactly what the master said, verse 26. Basically, you are wicked and you're just lazy. That's the truest judgment. Basically, you're just lazy, right? You're not just lazy, but you are entitled and you are evil. You don't want to work. You want to, you accuse me of reaping what I did not sow. You are right now trying to reap what you did not sow. You are trying to live off. You don't want to work. You just want to live off people. You're living off me. So do you understand the irony here? This is the person who listens to Jesus and doesn't want to serve God. He says, Jesus, your standard too high. Jesus, I think you asked me too much already. I think you asked me to give up my whole life too much. I think what I'll do, since you didn't care about my feelings and you just asked me to do for you, I'll just sit there and do nothing until you come back. This is the equivalent of us who complain, who actually at the heart of it, the real problem is you have no joy in the service of God. You have no joy in God. You have no joy in Christ. You have no joy in producing righteousness. You are just lazy. You're just entitled. You just want to be a useless person. You find joy in being that kind of person. You deserve hell. You slothful, wicked servant. You knew that. So here he's working. He's not actually admitting it, but he's working. You knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have scattered no seed. Then if you knew that's me and I'm your master, then you should have worked hard. But the real issue is you don't want to serve me. You just want to do your own thing. You are living off me. You wicked and terrible servant. And so he sends him out. Verse 30, cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness, in the place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So verse 28, take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. The one who loves God, who serves God, more will be given. For to everyone who has will more be given. And he will have an abundance. If you love serving God, God will keep giving to you because we love serving one another. We love building God's kingdom together. That's what God delights in. But from the one who has not even what he has will be taken away. If you are slothful and evil, then you will be judged. In the end of the day, watch out, guys. Jesus has taught us the main goal of life, to be joyful servants of God. Jesus has come to make us new creation, to take us away from sin. The old era, the old life has taken us away from it so that we can joyfully serve God even in this time of suffering and difficulty. It's part of God has put us here also to let us live out and to let us really taste that power of God in giving us a new life so that we can, against all odds, be the hardworking, joyful Christian, truly joyful in the Lord Christian that God has saved us to be like Christ. And so being in this time of difficulty is not a time to complain. In fact, I know it's hard and oftentimes we want to complain, but when you look back at it, in heaven, you'll be like, those were my best times. I got to really push myself against all odds. And so if you don't do that now, if you don't find joy in becoming a servant of God now, well, you can't look back at it later on, and you run the risk of becoming the evil servant who gets kicked out because you don't belong to God. Watch out against any sloth, any self entitlement, any love for self. Watch out for the refusal to internalize the Bible, to see things through the Bible's lens, to become Jesus' followers, to become the scriptures, and to live out. Watch out for that. Be the faithful servant. No matter how much talents you have, as long as you're joyful in serving God, God will reward you. Be that kind of servant and last to the end. Those who do not belong to the kingdom, and therefore will be judged. Be the new person that Jesus made you to be, saved you to be, and keep persevering. Don't need to ask when Jesus is coming back. In fact, yeah, this is not the best. Jesus coming back, you should be happy, but at the same time, you'll be like, oh, yeah, finish, not do more. And when you reach heaven, look back and remember the best times you can serve God. So use this opportunity, find joy in the privilege to serve Him, that you belong to this time where you can be tested, serving Him, and to do your best. And God will reward you, because He was the one who gave you the ability in the beginning. Okay, so as we finish, I hope you guys can think about these questions, which is, what if you learned about what Jesus expects from us? And how can you enter into the joy of your master? Let me pray. Pray, thank you for your word that cuts and pierces our hearts, that exposes our slothfulness, our love for self, everything that, even though many of us are disciples, we know you, we've heard you, but we keep going back to our old self. Help us to repent, help us to really internalize your word, and to really follow Jesus and to become like Him, to have joy in being used for your service. Help us to love you, love other people. Help us to change the way we think about our whole life, our purpose in life, why we take exams. It's not ultimately for me, but it's for you. Help us to work that out practically, what that looks like, why I go to church, why I do this, why I do that. Help us, Lord, to completely change the way we think about why we do things, and to make sure we are faithful and wise in everything we do, so that we bear fruits for you. May we be the fourth soil, and we end up being given in charge of more things in heaven, because you have made us like you. In Jesus we pray. Do we want to open up for questions? Because I know today's passage is a bit hard. Does anyone want to ask any questions? Each one or two. I know it's a bit late, sorry guys, but this passage is a bit tricky. But hopefully you guys get it. Did they have any questions? No, okay. What? Do you guys want to ask any questions? This is what? Will people answer me? Okay, any questions on the text or what I've taught? Okay, well, maybe they're all tired. Sorry guys for late, but you guys have a good discussion.
Thank you, Daniel. All right. We have heard that God calls us to be servants of Christ. So, SOLIDD has officially ended, but if you have the time to spare to reflect with one another, here's a discussion question for you guys. We also know that some of y'all need to leave, so again, SOLIDD has officially ended. Feel free to do so. If you guys can come for SOLIDD groups tomorrow, that'd be great. And you guys can continue reflecting there. But until then, I'll see the rest of y'all. Good night. Bye. Good night, guys. Bye-bye. See you. Oh, I'm gone. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. You can meet. You can go into your groups, into your bed. Bye bye. You guys. Yep. Bye bye.